Mag did not expect them to be so enthusiastic. However, since they were willing, things became easier to handle. Mag chose 10 engineers among the group with the help of Sheer and Burrell. 5 of them were very talented designers, while the other 5 had exceptional gifts in machinery forging, materials, and other aspects. They were all not very old. The oldest was only 25 and they could not be considered experienced engineers. Mag liked that they were near clean slates. That way, it would be easier for him to inculcate in them his set of ideology on machinery and they would not be bound by an instilled thought, which might cause a conflict in the latter part of teaching. On top of that, their basics were not bad, so even if school started immediately, they still had things to teach the students. Mr. Mag, are you sure you're choosing these 10? Burrell looked at the name list and could not help but wonder how he was worse than them. Yes, but I'm not sure if they are holding important roles in the steam train project and if they could leave the project. Mag was here to choose suitable people in the context that their work would not be affected. Not exactly. They can be replaced for their job scopes, Burrell said with a shake of his head. Mr. Mag, these 10 engineers might be going to Hope School but I intend to continue paying them as part of their teaching salary. I also hope to do my part for Hope School, Sheer said. Mag looked at Sheer with a smile. How could he not know what Sheer was thinking of? What did it mean for these 10 engineers to go to Hope School but take their salary from Buffett Bank instead of the school? It meant that they still belonged to Sheer. However, Mag came to find Sheer with hopes of working together. Sheer was generous enough to lend him her talents and was even willing to pay them a large amount as a salary. This would also lighten Hope School's burden and it was a win-win situation. She was quite a good partner. She was rich, knowledgeable about the industry, and not greedy. All right, I will thank you on the children's behalf. Mag nodded with a smile. Mag left Burrell to announce the results. After that, he told the 10 engineers to report to Hope School at 9 a.m. the next morning to take part in the school's test. After that, Mag did not stay on. He left after promising Burrell to give everyone a lesson the coming week and proceeded to Hope School. Mag found Luna and told her his intention to set up the machinery college. You have already found the teachers. Luna looked at Mag in shock. She only digested the fact that Mag had suddenly added another college after a very long time. What shocked her the most was that he had actually built a team for the machinery college. Yes. They are all very young, outstanding, and lively engineers. They are also very professional. Mag nodded with a smile. On top of that, Miss Sheer is willing to pay their salary, so the school will not have to fork out their pay and will only need to provide them with their basic meals. Luna opened her mouth slightly and after a while, she bowed deeply to Mag, saying, I am very grateful for the help you have provided the school. Teacher Luna, you are too kind. Mag quickly helped her up and said, however, they are not professional teachers and they also have not gone through training. Therefore, I would like to push back the machinery college's course by a month to train them so that they can better take on the role. These children would require the most basic education after entering school, starting from learning how to read, write, and count. Other than the career training, the more difficult courses can only start after a few months, Luna said. That's true. We have to eliminate illiteracy first. Mag nodded thoughtfully and realized that he seemed to have missed that out. Although Hope School was accepting many students this time, the children had basically not gone to school at all before. The children of various ages were running around every day just to fill their stomachs. They could not even read, so even if they were to enroll in school, they would have to start by eliminating illiteracy. However, the problem was not a big one. His culinary training could still continue and at the same time, the teachers for the machinery college could also settle down and use 2 to 3 months to learn how to better be a teacher. At the same time, they could use this period to do some academic research. Wow, is this Mr. Mag's restaurant? I've long heard that it's the best restaurant in Chaos City. It really lives up to its name. Hee hee. We made a small windfall a couple of days ago and are treating Captain to a meal. Of course we have to choose a good restaurant. Captain, here, queue up in front. The Rose Mercenary Squad ushered Sivir to join the long line of people at Mamie restaurant. They were all smiling and were feeling good. Although they had been through a life and death situation 2 nights ago, they were lucky to be saved by Lord Alex, and not only did he avert their danger, they even earned a big sum by selling that golden-eyed white tiger. Everyone could get more than 200,000 copper coins after the split. This was a large sum of money to lower-grade mercenaries like them. They might not even make so much money in a year. They were all recuperating from their injuries over the past 2 days, and today, they were more or less recovered, so they had decided to come out to celebrate. Sivir was wearing a body-hugging leather suit, which accentuated her figure perfectly. Her red hair was let down and brushed to one side, and she was looking at the signboard of Mamie Restaurant with her hazel brown eyes. This was not her first time at Mamie Restaurant, but her second time. Although she admitted that Mr. Mag's cooking was heavenly, it was really too expensive and she did not bear to spend the money to come over again. She did not sell the golden-eyed white tiger's phantom core and wanted to keep it as a memento. Perhaps she would never have the chance to see that man again, but this phantom core could remind her of that moment, and that would make her motivated to become better and stronger. She had been spacing out often over the past 2 days. She even dreamt of becoming his maid last night, serving him as he ate and slept. She really was not that kind of person. Sivir took a deep breath and told herself, "Sivir, forget him, he is not someone you can lust over." The restaurant door opened and Mag walked out with a smile. Sivir's gaze landed on Mag and suddenly, in an instant, she seemed to find him familiar. Mag and that masked silhouette started overlapping. "Stop! Stop!" Sivir hit herself on the back of her head. Oh no, her hallucinations seemed to be getting worse. She actually saw Mr. Mag and Lord Alex overlapping. That was ridiculous. However, if it was Mr. Mag, it seemed that she could consider him. He seemed to be single too, right? Although he has a child. But that child is rather cute. Mag wasn't panicked. He continued to welcome the customers in with a smile. "Boss Mag, we are coming to eat at your place," Monkey said smilingly. He was in a coma that day, but he seemed very energetic today, so he should have recovered. The others from the Rose Mercenary Squad greeted Mag too. After all, they had once fought together. Mag replied smilingly. He rather liked this low-level mercenary squad. Of course, it wasn't because their captain had a good figure, but because of their comfortable and harmonious team spirit. "Captain Sivir, long time no see." Mag looked at Sivir smilingly. Sivir's outfit today was more casual, but she was still wearing a leather top and pants. There weren't many people who could make leather clothes look good on them, but Sivir was one of them. The soft and tight-fitting leather pants were excellently tailored. It displayed her curvy figure perfectly. Her long and slender legs, her curves and her butt, which a cup of coffee could be placed on. Long time no see." Sivir was reminded of her crazy thoughts and blushed. She nodded and greeted Mag unnaturally before lowering her head and striding past Mag quickly. Mag raised his eyebrows slightly. Judging from Sivir's expression and emotions, she hadn't recognized him. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so calm. However, her condition wasn't very natural, but she did just look like those shy young maidens. "Perhaps, she's mesmerized by my handsome looks." Mag was deep in thought. He didn't expect Miss Sivir to be such a shallow woman. The Rose Mercenary Squad's members sat down on 2 separate tables. They toned down their voices after entering the restaurant and sat properly. They had heard about the Mamie restaurant's rules before. They didn't think much of it before. They felt it was just a restaurant. How was one going to keep quiet while eating and drinking in a restaurant? However, they saw many powerhouses lining properly when they joined the lines. Many of them were legendary mercenaries, so they immediately reached the consensus of behaving themselves. A middle-aged man who looked like a magic caster approached them as soon as they sat down. He smilingly said to them, "I'm sorry to disturb all of you. May I know if you are the mercenaries from the Rose Mercenary Squad?" The Rose Mercenary Squad members sized up the man, but they couldn't see through him, so they decided to treat him like a powerhouse. All of them looked at SAHDR. SAHDR stood up and asked, "May I ask who you are?" This magic caster was very powerful, so there was a hint of alert in SAHDR's expression. She didn't believe that the Rose Mercenary Squad was so famous that a powerful magic caster would come to try to know them, so she was even more wary of his intention. The magic caster said to SAHDR, "You must be SAHDR, the captain of the Rose Mercenary Squad. I am Camaro, a pharmacist. I heard that you guys from the Rose Mercenary Squad are selling ingredients from the golden-eyed white tiger, a 7th-tier magic beast. I haven't got the pleasure to meet you guys yet. I didn't expect to bump into you at Mamie restaurant, so I decided to come forward to ask Captain SAHDR abruptly. Do you have the golden-eyed white tiger's phantom core? I am willing to buy it at a high price." The Rose Mercenary Squad members looked at SAHDR instinctively. The phantom core was gifted to the captain by Lord Alex. It was already very fortunate that they managed to survive and were ecstatic and satisfied enough to receive hundreds of thousands of copper coins. They naturally wouldn't lust after that phantom core. However, the captain didn't mention the phantom core the whole time, and she didn't say if she had sold it either. They didn't expect the buyer to come to her personally. "I'm sorry, but we do not have the golden-eyed white tiger's phantom core." SAHDR shook her head. "You must have seen that we are a low-tier mercenary squad. We would be the golden-eyed white tiger's food if we met a live one." The magic caster was taken aback. His gaze swept past the mercenary squad members and a hint of disappointment appeared in his eyes. Just as SAHDR said, the most powerful person in this mercenary squad was SAHDR, a 4th tier. The others were even weaker. If a mercenary squad like them bumped into a golden-eyed white tiger, they would only be feeding the tiger and would not be killing the tiger and getting the phantom core. SAHDR had already made it very clear that the Rose Mercenary Squad had simply been very lucky to bump into a dead golden-eyed white tiger and get a good deal. However, a precious item like the phantom core would have been taken away by the powerhouse who killed the golden-eyed white tiger. "I'm sorry to disturb you," Camaro said and left. Monkey softly asked, "Captain, you are not going to sell that phantom core?" "No, I intend to keep it as a souvenir." SAHDR nodded. "Then, are we going to conceal the fact that we were saved by Lord Alex?" Dennis asked. This was something that they could boast about. He even intended to tell it to his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. All of them looked at SAHDR. "You guys can talk about it. It's a kindness that we should remember forever." SAHDR nodded. "But, don't mention the phantom core." Everyone nodded with understanding. Something that advanced magic casters were after shouldn't be talked about easily. Mag watched that failed trade from the side. He was surprised that SAHDR didn't try to sell the phantom core. A precious 7th-tier magic beast's phantom core, and one that belonged to the precious golden-eyed white tiger. Its sales price was enough to let her end her mercenary career and open a shop in Chaos City before marrying some down-to-earth guy. Mag had already given her the item, so he naturally wouldn't care how SAHDR dealt with it. He was simply curious. "Big sister SAHDR." Amy discovered the Rose Mercenary Squad members and ran over in surprise. She ran into SAHDR's arms right away and rubbed her head on her soft leather pads before looking up at her and asking, "When are you bringing me to beat up the monsters? I'm very formidable now." SAHDR hugged Amy and smiled too. After pondering for a moment, she said, "That will depend on when Mr. Mag gives our mercenary squad a mission." The little one was tiny and soft, and she felt so nice in her arms. Her exquisite and cute look was even more irresistible. SAHDR even thought that it would be great if this baby was hers. She didn't even have to give birth to her and she was at the perfect age now. "I see." Amy pondered seriously before nodding and saying, "I'll go ask Father to give you guys a mission to catch the sky monkey." Furthermore, they usually moved about in the deep parts in the Magic Beast mountain range. It was almost impossible to find them at the periphery of the mountain range. Amy's small request had indeed stumped them. "It's not easy to catch the sky monkey, but we'll get you a little owl when we meet one in the future," SAHDR said with a smile. "Owl?" Amy turned and glanced at Ugly Duckling in shock before waving her hands and saying, "No, thanks. It's ugly." Amy played with SAHDR and the rest for some time before running to the kitchen's entrance and asking Mag, who was busy grilling the kebabs, "Father, when can I go hunt magic beasts with big sister SAHDR? I want to go to the Magic Beast mountain range to play." "There's nothing fun at the Magic Beast mountain range. Let's go find some sea animals to play with at the seaside in a few days," Mag replied smilingly. Amy's power was way above SAHDR and her teammates now. It would make them look very bad if they had to bring the little one into the mountains. "Is big sister SAHDR going with us?" Amy asked again. Mag thought about how SAHDR looked in a swimsuit and sucked in a breath. He shook his head and said, "We are not very familiar with each other, so I can't really invite her." "It's fine. I'm very familiar with her. I'll invite her if you feel embarrassed to do so," Amy said and then ran to SAHDR. Mag looked at Amy's back with a gratified expression. This child was so teachable. Amy went to SAHDR and expectantly asked, "Big sister SAHDR, we're going to catch sea animals in a few days. Do you want to join us for the trip?" "Sea animals?" SAHDR was slightly taken aback. "Yes. We're going to the boundless sea realm. Do you want to join us?" Amy nodded. SAHDR regained her wits. Mag should be bringing them to play at the boundless sea realm, so the little one invited her to go along with her. After experiencing the incident 2 days ago, the Rose mercenary squad decided to take a 7 days break, so she was rather tempted by Amy's suggestion. Having grown up in Chaos City, becoming a mercenary, going into the Magic Beast mountain range constantly and leading a risky life, she had never seen the sea before. But, this invitation came from a child after all. "It might not be suitable for me to go." SAHDR looked at Amy. "I came to hire you. This is the deposit." Amy took out a dragon coin and put it in SAHDR's hand. "We'll gather at the restaurant in the evening in 3 days." Before SAHDR could reject her, Amy had already run away. SAHDR looked at the dragon coin in her hand in exasperation. This was the first time that she was hired by a 4-year-old little girl. "Is it Boss Mag who asked little Amy to invite our captain for a vacation?" Monkey said smilingly. "I think it's possible." Scott nodded. "That's the most sophisticated way of going after a woman. Getting his daughter to do it." Scott showed a thumbs up. "Shut up." SAHDR rolled her eyes at them and flipped the dragon coin in her hand, but she couldn't help wondering if this was Amy's idea or Mag's idea. She didn't have to worry about Mag doing something to her during the journey. Even though the food he made was very scrumptious, he was still a chef. She would win even if they were to fight. Moreover, she trusted Mag's character. With Amy going on the trip as well, there was even no need to worry. Perhaps they wanted to go explore some unknown and dangerous places, so they wanted a mercenary to go with them for safety. SAHDR felt that her guess should be correct. She was rather happy that her professional capability was being recognized. Amy ran to the kitchen's entrance and made an okay hand gesture to Mag. Mag smiled. The little one was rather capable. They were going to the boundless sea realm for a vacation and relaxation. They were going to enjoy the wind and the sun, surf and swim. It was naturally fine to bring another pretty maiden along too. Mag stared at SAHDR for some time. He wasn't being lecherous, he was just taking her measurements. As a locally born and bred Chaos City resident, she hadn't seen the sea before, so she wouldn't know about a swimsuit. See how considerate he was? He even prepared a made-to-measure swimsuit for her. This was called sophisticated kindness. Sivir seemed to sense something and she looked towards the kitchen. She saw Mag's serious side profile as he cooked. The handsome side profile was focused and serious. It was rather suave. Vivian came to the restaurant alone. Luna was too busy, her dad was also very busy and her mom couldn't bother to line up, so she came to eat the grilled fish alone. Fortunately, she knew the people who shared the table with her, so it wasn't that awkward. Vanessa looked at Vivian, who was eating the grilled fish and advised her, "Big sister Vivian, you should eat more vegetables. You can't just eat grilled fish. It's fine. Don't bother about me. I'll just eat the grilled fish." Vivian waved her hand and continued to eat her grilled fish. This medium-sized grilled fish together with 2 bowls of rice was just enough for her. Queen Syndra looked at Vivian smilingly. "She's just after your grilled fish. Vivian, if you don't eat the other dishes, she will feel embarrassed to eat your grilled fish." Abraham covered his mouth and chuckled at the side. He had long realized that, otherwise, when did Vanessa ever ask someone to eat something? Vivian finally looked up and looked at Vanessa thoughtfully. After thinking about it seriously for a moment, she nodded as if she was making an important decision. "Tea then, you may have some too. A little bit is fine." As she said this, she placed a piece of chopped chili into her bowl and ate a piece of fish. "All right." Vanessa's eyes lit up and she immediately picked up a piece of fish with her chopsticks. She then picked up her bowl to hold the fish and fed it into her mouth. A sated smile appeared on her face instantly. The crispy skin, the smooth and tender meat, the unique charcoal grilled aroma and delicious sauce together with the best spiciness, suddenly exploded in her mouth. The grilled fish is simply too delicious. Vanessa opened her eyes with tears in them. Eating with her mother and uncle was so hard. The insanely spicy fish was on their blacklist, which caused her to lose so much happiness. She could still order what she wanted in the past, but it was 1 against 2 now, so she couldn't even resist. Vanessa invited Vivian, "Big sister Vivian, let's eat together whenever you're free. It'll be my treat." "You like to eat grilled fish too?" Vivian asked. "Yes. I love it." Vanessa nodded. "All right. Let's eat grilled fish together whenever we have the chance." Vivian immediately nodded. She knew Vanessa wasn't lacking money. She liked rich, young mistress friends like her who loved to eat grilled fish. The little one had been learning magic from Krasua and Urian in the past few days, so lessons had already begun for her. However, school hadn't formally begun for her yet. "Yes." Mag nodded. "Teacher Luna isn't going to teach at Chaos School anymore, right?" Amy asked again. "Yes. Teacher Luna is the principal of Hope School now. She has a lot of things to do, so she won't be Chaos School's math teacher any longer." Mag nodded and smilingly said, "But, she will continue to be a teacher at Hope School." Then, Amy considered seriously for a while before saying, "I want to go to Hope School. I like Teacher Luna's classes. Daphne and Ignazio cannot be your schoolmates if you go to Hope Primary School." Mag reminded her. "It's fine. I can go play with them after school," Amy smilingly said. "Moreover, Jessica and many of my other friends will be going to Hope School. It will be very fun." "All right, then I'll go to Chaos School tomorrow to do the transfer procedures for you." Mag nodded. He respected the choice that his child made. However, Krasua and Urian were taking up tons of Amy's time, so there wouldn't be much time left for her to do school learning in this term. Hope School would be eliminating illiteracy first, so Amy's progress wouldn't be delayed. At most, Amy could have remedial lessons afterwards. "Do you want to go to school, Annie?" Irina asked. Annie, who was nibbling on a piece of beef, quickly swallowed the beef in her mouth. There was a hint of anticipation in her eyes, but she quickly pointed to her throat and shook her head. Mag furrowed his eyebrows slightly. He could see that Annie looked forward to going to school, but she was resistant to it because she couldn't speak. Regarding the cause of Annie's mutism and treatments, Mag and Irina had already tried many solutions, but they were all not effective. The system didn't give a reason for it either. They could only deduce that normal methods wouldn't work on Annie because she came from a great old one. There was no phonatory organ in Annie's body, so she couldn't make any sounds. At first, Mag wanted to get the system to buy an acoustic generator from an advanced civilization for Annie. Those that could be implanted in the body. However, due to Xi's appearance, this plan was shelved. He could still explain that the printing machine was dug up, but it would be hard to explain an advanced acoustic generator that was connected and used. Mag had changed his plan now. He intended to establish a relationship with Xi and then try to get an acoustic generator from Xi. The Elder Things technology was so advanced, so their healthcare must be advanced too. It shouldn't be hard to get an acoustic generator from her. Annie, I can register for you first. You may go if you like, and if you don't, then you can go after we cure your vocal cords, Mag said to Annie smilingly. Annie nodded after pondering. Irina patted Annie's head indulgently and proudly said, "It isn't a big deal that you can't speak. Although many people have mouths, they never say nice words. They are not comparable to our little Annie, who is pretty, kind and draws beautifully." Yes. Drawing is a very powerful form of expression. Mag agreed too. If big sister Annie goes to school, you will definitely be very popular among your classmates. You draw so beautifully, so everyone will look up to you. Amy nodded her little head. Annie's smile became more confident, but she still didn't express if she wanted to go to school. After eating the hot pot, the two children played with Ugly Duckling outside of the restaurant while Irina and Mag cuddled in front of the floor-to-ceiling window as they warmed themselves by the fire and listened to soothing music. "Does Hope School still need teachers?" Irina asked. "Do you want to go and be a teacher too?" Mag turned around to look at Irina's side profile. A smile appeared on Irina's face. "If I go and be their teacher, I don't know if I should teach them how to use a folding chair or use the magic caster's staff. I think the folding chair is a very powerful weapon and deserves to be promoted," Mag said seriously. "There are still many talents in the Night Elves. If Hope School has the need, I can ask them to become teachers." Irina sat up straight and said to Mag with a serious expression, "I actually wanted to give the Night Elves an education too. Many elves have been doing manual work all along and they can't even speak the common tongue. They can't really assimilate into Chaos City. Do you want to get some Night Elves to be Hope School's teachers first and then let them teach the Night Elves?" Mag was thoughtful. "Yes." Irina nodded. "Hope School is always short of good teachers. There are indeed many talents in the Night Elves and they can become excellent teachers after getting professional training." Mag smilingly continued speaking, "How about this? You'll prepare a list for tomorrow and I'll go find Luna. I'll fix a time with her for interviews and then we'll discuss their training." I have already got Ashley to do it. I'll pass it to you tomorrow." Irina nodded. "You have a tougher job than the Queen." Mag hugged Irina's shoulders gently and looked at her with heartache. Ever since the Night Elves were set up, Irina had been very focused on it. She struggled with the Night Elves for survival when it was first set up and she had tried to get them settled in after they moved into Chaos City. Now, she was thinking how to let the elves lead a normal life in Chaos City. She hadn't been able to stop worrying about them. "I think it's rather interesting," Irina said with a laugh with a relaxed expression. "However, some of them might return to the Wind Forest. Sally is doing much better than I expected. Is something new happening in the Wind Forest?" Mag asked curiously. Irina replied, "Helena has gone into a seclusion. She has handed everything to Sally, and Elliot, who was made to stay put in his domain, is beginning to have ideas." The first thing that Sally did after she returned to the Brewster family was to remove Elliot from the position of chief and she locked him up in the castle. This move shocked all the big families in the Wind Forest and she now has control of the Wind Forest. forest. Irina said honestly, I have to admit that she really knows how to balance and handle all the different powers. Moreover, I always like to convince people with might. Mag nodded. He knew she always liked to convince people with might. So, if there's no surprise, she will become the next Elven Queen. Mag asked. I haven't found a more suitable candidate yet. Irina nodded. At least, I'm not interested. Mag chuckled. Interesting. I think my greatest accomplishment in this life might be opening this restaurant and recruiting this group of service staff. Our delivery rider has become the queen of the Twilight Forest, our second employee is going to become the Elven Queen, our server might become the queen of the Moon Nation, our cheerleader is the escaped princess of Lantist, our chopper has already become the queen of the vampires, Angela is trying to bring the succubi back to glory again, and our queen of the hot pot is on the rise. Mag couldn't help smiling. This was really something worth boasting about. Irina looked at Mag, who had a smug look, judgingly and asked, so, why are they all pretty girls? Mag's smile froze on his face. After thinking about it seriously for a moment, he said, I have always been steadfast. Since the first employee is a female, then they will all be females. What about Shirley? She got in by accident, Mag murmured before changing the conversation topic. Oh yes. We'll be going to the Boundless Sea Realm for team building in 2 days. You should be free, right? I need to make a trip to the Wind Forest. You guys go ahead. Irina shook her head. Mag concernedly asked, did something happen? Do you need me to go with you? Irina shook her head. No, I just need to verify a very small matter. The Wind Forest can't stop me now. I can come and go as I please. Mag nodded. Then, I'll leave Ozzy to you. I'll be more at ease with it around you. All right. The next day, Mag went to Hope School again. He submitted a long list with 200 people on it. He expressed the Night Elves' interest to teach in Hope School. Luna was shocked when she saw the name list that was a few pages long. After hearing Mag's words, she took some time to digest it before nodding and saying, how about this? I will organize a recruitment fair for the school's teachers tomorrow and I'll select 20 people from these 200 to join Hope School. I'll split the remaining 180 candidates into 3 classes and let the Hope School's experienced teachers train them, so that they could fulfill the basic teaching requisites. However, school is going to start soon, so this training can only be done at night and during rest days. All right. Let me thank you for your help on behalf of the Night Elves, Mag said gratefully. Luna answered with a smile, I should be the one thanking Mr. Mag for bringing more talents to the school again. Furthermore, we get to help more people, which is our original intention. It's just a small thing. Mag went to the textile factory after coming out from Hope School. He repeated Luna's words and got the Night Elves to make preparations. Then, he printed 10,000 more copies of Miss Black Cat and got the Night Elves to send them to Rodu. He had already received Eofi's message. Miss Black Cat was selling like hotcakes. The 10,000 copies that they printed previously weren't enough to satisfy the demand, so she asked Mag to prepare more. If it was the usual picture books, Mag might control the numbers to make sure that they maintained their value. However, Miss Black Cat was different. While this was an excellent picture book, it was also in for the Black Cat opera. Even though 10,000 copies seemed a lot, its spread was still not wide enough. Furthermore, there was no reason to stop a big business that could earn millions when the market's feedback was great. Currently, the copyright fee had already been broken even, the rest was now pure profits. Maestro, there are so many people out there today asking me when we will start our operations again. Yes, yes. I was even recognized when I went out. They have never come and watched the opera before, so why are they so enthusiastic about it? Seems like, our Black Cat opera is going to take off now. The Black Cat Opera's actors gathered in the interim maestro's office. They sat around a rickety table with ill-concealed excitement on their faces. This was the first time they felt noticed after so long. Vicky's expression was still calm, but her upturned lips exposed her current mood. Yes. Although the Black Cat Opera House was still under renovation, there were more and more audience members asking about the time of their reopening. There was even a hint of a crowd gathering. The reason was very simple. It was because of the Miss Black Cat picture book. The Miss Black Cat picture book had already sold a few thousand copies within a short few days. It was sold out every day as soon as Titan Tavern brought the books out. The picture book not only increased the Titan Tavern's popularity, it also brought plenty of positive feedback for Black Cat Opera in the past 2 days. The interesting picture book and the blatant opera at the back of the picture book aroused the reader's curiosity for the opera. However, the Black Cat Opera House was under renovation for the past few days and they couldn't perform. This piqued the reader's curiosity even more, so the exterior of the opera house had been exceptionally boisterous for the past few days. Foreseeably, they would have a good number of audience members after the opera house finished its upgrade and they reopened for a performance. Vicky couldn't help but feel excited as soon as she thought about it. Ever since Black Cat Opera was established, their most popular performance only had about 80 to 90 audience members, and most of them were their neighbors. After the opera house was upgraded, it could accommodate 1,200 audience members at the same time. She only wanted to know if the theater would be fully packed one day. Vicky said to all of them with a solemn expression, "The theater will finish its upgrading works in 2 days. Let's all practice harder and get ourselves into our peak form to welcome the first performance of our Black Cat Opera House." All of them stopped smiling and nodded gravely. Everyone knew very well that they had finally seen the light at the end of the tunnel after struggling for so long. They had to grasp this chance fully to make all their past hard work and perseverance worthwhile. "I'll treat you guys to a big meal if our premiere is successful." A smile appeared on Vicky's face as she loudly declared, "We will have a whole roasted goat." After a rather long time, a golden glow finally lit up on her magic wand and struck the wall in front of her, leaving a faint golden mark. Jane smiled and put down her sore and swollen right hand that was holding the magic wand. After that, she wiped the perspiration on her forehead with her left hand and turned slowly but jumped with fright when she saw the person behind her. "Boss." Jane looked at Mag and calmed down. She was rather shy and stunned as she said, "When did you come? I've been here for quite a while. I saw that you were absorbed in your training so I didn't disturb you," Mag said with a smile. He looked at Jane with affirmation and said, "You seem to be getting more and more familiar with the holy light technique. Your practice seems to be going well." There were very few light magic casters and ever since Jane was brought back from the Demon Islands, Irina had been teaching her personally. She was currently a second-tier light magic caster and could cast elementary holy light techniques. Not everyone is a talent in this world. There were more ordinary and hard-working little demons like Jane. Of course, at least she still had some rare talent for light-type magic. On top of that, she was rather lucky to have met Irina, a great magic caster to teach her personally. Jane blushed. She did not expect Mag to have been here for quite a while already. However, she was still quite happy to be praised. In the past, all she had in mind was how to survive. She racked her brains on finding ways to live and would never expect herself to one day become a magic caster and learn how to cast magic. "Jane, we will be going to the Boundless Sea Realm in a couple of days. Do you have any kin in the Demon Islands? If you do, we can bring you over," Mag told Jane. When he brought Jane over previously, it was because this young lass was really pitiful and was also obedient and smart. However, everyone would have a longing for family. Otherwise, they would just be floating around aimlessly. Jane thought seriously and shook her head sadly. However, her eyes quickly lit up as she looked at Mag and said with a smile, "Boss, all of you are my kin." "My only kin?" Mag spaced out looking at Jane's clear smile. After that, he quickly smiled and nodded, saying, "All right, go and wash up first. I'll be going back to the restaurant." Jane acknowledged it and watched as Mag turned to leave when she suddenly said, "Boss, can I request something from you?" Mag paused in his tracks and turned back to look at Jane. Jane looked at Mag and mustered up the courage to say, "I want to learn how to cook crayfish from you." Mag was stunned that Jane also wanted to learn cooking. He nodded and said, "Sure. If you want to learn, I can teach you any time." Jane smiled happily and said, "Thank you, boss. But, I want to know why you suddenly want to learn how to cook crayfish?" Mag asked. Jane looked down shyly and said, "I want to open up a crayfish restaurant just like you did previously." Mag nodded with a smile and said, "All right. Come over earlier tonight. You can watch when I cook the crayfish. Get an understanding of the basic process of how the crayfish is cooked. I'll teach you again in detail a little later." He was very supportive of his employees' entrepreneurship. It was like how he was very supportive of Rena opening her own hot pot restaurant and even could see her as becoming queen of the hot pot. Mag initially thought that Jane would want to become an outstanding light magic caster, seeing how seriously she learned and practiced. He did not expect her dream to be opening a crayfish restaurant. Of course, there was nothing wrong with that. He also had a restaurant and Irina was even the owner of a textile factory. Millimeter. Jane nodded and blushed even more from agitation. Becoming powerful was not something very attractive to her because she knew she could never be better than Princess Irina. However, she was looking forward to owning a crayfish restaurant and welcoming guests, running the restaurant, and helping those in need just like boss. That was a feeling she wanted to have. Mag bade farewell to Jane and returned to the restaurant. However, he met an unexpected guest at the restaurant's door. "Mr. Mag, you're finally back." Heidel was standing at the restaurant door with a smile. "Mr. Heidel, why are you here?" Mag got off his bicycle and looked at the Chaos School's Machinery College vice principal. The vice principal was almost bald. The bald spot had expanded even more. He was wearing a black robe and looked as serious as usual. "I heard that you are intending to establish a new machinery college in Hope School and I came specially to have a chat with you about that," Heidel said. "You get your news very fast," Mag said with a smile. He had just gone to see Luna in the morning and Heidel had already rushed to the restaurant to look for him. Mag still respected this old academic. This type of person easily had the same image as some of his teachers in his previous life. They were not power-hungry but were very passionate about technical research. Heidel said with a smile, "I had nothing to do because it's the school holidays and I happened to be chatting with some old friends at Hope School and heard this news from teacher Luna. I do have some other questions I hope to discuss with you. Do you happen to be free? Am I disturbing your business?" "It's all right. It's still early. Let's talk inside." Mag opened the door and walked into the restaurant with his bicycle. Heidel followed Mag in. He kept staring at Mag's bicycle and only after Mag kept his bicycle behind the counter, did he look away. However, he still asked curiously, "Is this two-wheeled vehicle easy to ride?" You just simply need to control your balance and it would be very easy to ride." Mag nodded. The structure did not seem too complicated. If it is easy to learn, it would be a very good tool to launch. After all, many in Chaos City are still relying on walking, Heidel said thoughtfully. Mag suddenly admired Heidel even more. Heidel was right. The bicycle was a very appropriate mode of transport to be used in Chaos City currently. Owning a horse in Chaos City, other than the large sum to pay when buying a horse, would also require the horse owner to build a stable for it and to feed it with hay every day. This was a very high cost and not everyone could afford it. A bicycle was different. Other than the cost of the bicycle itself and the wear and tear that would come with time, there were basically no other expenses. One would not need to feed it with hay or consider its feelings. You could just ride it whenever you wanted to. When you don't need it, you can leave it in storage and take it out again a few years later to ride it. Would you even try throwing a horse in the stables for a month? If the bicycle could be produced in sufficient amounts so that its cost could be brought down to an acceptable range, it would bring about more convenience to many once it became widely used. Heidel was a scientist in pragmatism. Therefore, when he saw the bicycle, what he thought of was how it could be applied widely to bring about convenience to ordinary people. Mag admired such pragmatic thoughts. Technology could change lives, and that is the value of scientists. Yes. I also think that this is a mode of transport worth launching, Mag said with a smile. He motioned for Heidel to sit at a side and made a pot of tea before sitting in front of him. Mr. Mag, do you have that intention too? To produce this vehicle in large quantities? Heidel looked at Mag expectantly. I might do so in the future, but I do not have the time or mental capacity to follow up on it right now. You know it. Inventing something and producing it in large amounts are two very different things. Mag poured Heidel a cup of tea. Heidel was slightly stunned and then smiled. He nodded in agreement and said, "They are two very different things." As the vice principal of the machinery college, Heidel had also participated in numerous production projects, and that was indeed something that took up a lot of time and effort. That two-wheeled vehicle might not look complicated and did not involve any complex power conversions, but the tens to hundreds of parts on it would result in a very big project to have them individually produced in standard sizes. Not only would it take up a lot of effort, but it would also take up a lot of time. However, I can consider passing the production of bicycles to the teachers of the machinery college to research. Mag's eyes lit up. He actually had the thought of producing the bicycle, but he was just too lazy to do anything about it. Now that the team for Hope School's machinery college was established, it would be a waste to not make use of them. Our machinery college. Heidel spouted and quickly realized that the machinery college Mag was referring to was not the Chaos School's machinery college but the newly established Hope School's machinery college. He suddenly had mixed feelings. When he heard that Mag had established the machinery college today, and was even intending to be deeply involved, Heidel wanted to sound Mag out to see what kind of role he was intending to take on in this completely new machinery college, as well as its development goals. Now it seemed like Mag's role should be something like the director, and now, he had added a huge project to the team. Producing the bicycle in large quantities would be a project that could impact the lives of many upon its success. To be honest, he was a little sour. Mag could tell what Heidel was thinking and found it a little funny. However, he did not expose Heidel and instead, took a sip of tea and said, "What do you have for me?" "Oh, it's like this. I have been taking note of the progress of Hope School's establishment. Previously, I had discussed setting up a machinery college with Luna, and it was put aside, as teachers were difficult to hire. I didn't expect Mr. Mag to be able to pull a team together when the school was almost opening and establish the machinery college. Therefore, I wanted to have a chat with you to see if there is anything I can help you with," Heidel said. Mag nodded seriously and said, "I do have something I need your help with. Please speak." "Actually, I got this team from Miss Shear. They were in charge of the STEAM Train project and are rather talented young people who can learn quickly. They do have potential. However, they had not received any educational training and were last-minute hires. Therefore, it is a difficult thing for them to impart this professional training to the children. Luna is getting them to listen to the other teachers and also to undergo teachers' training, but I think the fastest way for them to improve is to receive tips from professional and experienced teachers. Therefore, I was thinking of getting them to listen into classes at Chaos School's machinery college when school reopens so that they could learn quickly how to become a qualified teacher," Mag told Heidel sincerely. Heidel was rather surprised. To him, talents like Mag would usually be proud and work alone. He did not expect him to get the teachers to learn from Chaos School. Mag might be a talent in machinery, but he was not a teacher. He could not accept a team put together at the last minute to support an entire college and to even teach students. He was worried that the teachers would not be professional enough, and that was also the reason for Heidel's visit today. I am unable to make the decision on this, but I am very supportive of the idea. I will discuss it with the principal when I return later and see if we could find a way to strengthen the exchange and communication between both colleges. Heidel nodded with a smile. Don't worry, even if the principal is not agreeable, I still have some experience I can contribute to this group of young people. Thank you so much. Mag picked up his tea and drank a toast to Heidel. We should do what we can to help the children. Heidel took a sip of tea and said with a smile, but I would also like Mr. Mag to give the teachers in our college a lesson. The steam train is already running on the railway joining Chaos City and Vic Mountain. I heard that the railway to the dwarves is also under construction. The teachers would like to hear your story on the steam train as its designer. Mag fell silent. Mag would still feel rather awkward speaking in public to a group of people. However, Heidel had just promised to help train the teachers, so Mag could not bring himself to reject him and could only accept the request with a nod. Heidel was actually very close to inventing the steam engine, but there was a fine line between a eureka moment and a futile pursuit of a lifetime. In the afternoon, Mag received news from the Night Elves construction team. The holistic building was completed and all the barricades had been completely dismantled. Mag was not in a rush to inspect the work. Instead, he went over only after the dinner service ended. The 4-story high building towered beside the 2-story cafeteria, making it appear very majestic. Mag could still see the intricate floral carvings on the pillars and roof under the moonlight. They were as beautiful as exquisite art pieces. What a waste to put such skills into construction instead of craft. Mag lamented. Elves were natural artists indeed. The school had security officers, but Mag flipped over the wall to enter the campus. He unlocked the door to the first-floor lobby of the building. The first floor was the practical hall. However, it was currently just an empty 500 square meter space. The floor was lined with large, square marble tiles. System, you can deliver the goods now. Mag snapped his fingers. With a crisp ding, the shiny metallic kitchenware appeared in the hall, lined up in neat rows. There were more than 100 sets. In an instant, the empty hall had become a professional lecture theatre with neatly arranged metallic cooking benches gleaming under the moonlight. There were wall-mounted and hanging oil lamps, but Mag made a switch to quickly light up and extinguish the lights. All that was needed was to add oil into the lamp periodically. Although it might not be brighter than electric lights, it is still more appropriate, and Mag would not have to go about explaining the electric lights. Mag looked at the majestic practical teaching hall and nodded with satisfaction. He could already see himself teaching here. To think of it, there was a need for him to get an amplifier. The lights lit up from the first floor all the way up. Mag went upstairs to look around. The tables and chairs were placed neatly in the multi-purpose classroom, making the place look more like a classroom. The teacher's office on the 3rd floor looked simple and neat. Because the area was large, each individual office came with a mini lounge. It was a very thoughtful design. Mag had considered the fact that he would not be the only teacher in this training center. He also could not guarantee that he would always be in Chaos City. Therefore, he would still need to train 2 to 3 other teachers to manage the daily operations. Rena was not a bad choice. However, she was planning her second hot pot restaurant and was even busier than him. Among the restaurant's employees, Firis's kebab making skills were good enough for her to teach. Therefore, she could come over to be a part-time teacher. Mag quickly looked around the holistic building and left silently, after switching all the lights off, before the security officer woke up. He placed the keys to the building on Luna's office table and left her a note before going home. Luna arrived at school early in the morning. She would have to organize a large-scale interview to choose 20 out of the 200 Night Elves as the reserve for the teaching team in Hope School. She came to her office and took the name list as she got ready for her morning meeting. After that, she noticed the bunch of keys and the note underneath the keys on her table. Teacher Luna, the chef's training center is completed. Please take a look. It was a very familiar set of handwriting. It was Mag's handwriting. She had already received news from the Night Elves construction team that the construction work for the training center had ended. However, she did not take part in this project since Mag was the one managing the entire workflow. Now that Mag had placed the keys on her table, work on the training center had probably completely ended. It was just a short span of 4 to 5 days. What astonishing efficiency! Luna took the name list and the keys, hesitated for a while, and still decided to take a look at the training center before going for her morning meeting. Ma'am. Luna happened to run into Hira, who was carrying a pile of papers, when she walked out. This has been sent over by the Night Elves. They are the personal particulars of the elves taking part in today's interview, Hira said. Let's put them in the meeting room first. We can look through them together during the meeting later. Luna nodded with a smile and said, I want to go to the chef's training center. The chef's training center? Hira was stunned. She suddenly said with realization, you mean the beautiful building beside the cafeteria? Yes. Was that really built by Mr. Mag? It was completed in just a few days. Hira was in disbelief. If you're so curious, put the files down and head over with me, Luna said with a smile. All right. Right away. Hira ran over to the meeting room at the end of the corridor with the papers and then followed Luna downstairs eagerly as they walked towards the cafeteria. Lessons had yet to commence in Hope School, but there was a morning meeting today, so many teachers had already arrived on campus. Right now, many teachers were crowding around the building beside the cafeteria, sizing up the beautiful and majestic building. This was an architecture made by the perfect fusion of stone and wood. It was mainly light grey, giving it a mature yet trendy feel. The wooden carvings were intricate and one could tell that a lot of effort was put into the construction of the building. The chef's training center. What a pity this building was not used to teach magic. Forget it. There is no link between magic and this building at all. I think it's more suitable to be used as an academic block for the lower primary students. The children would definitely love it. Hehe, I think it is very suitable as a chef's training center. The children can cook here and bring it next door to the cafeteria to eat. There would be no issues of food wastage at all. What a pity the place is locked up. I wonder what it looks like inside. It was completed in such a short time. I reckon the basic interior renovation hasn't been completed, right? The teachers discussed their curiosity towards the interior of the training center. The keys are with me. If all of you are interested, let's go in to take a look. Luna walked over with a smile as she lifted the keys in her hand. Ma'am, is the training center really completed? Melly went up to Luna curiously. She knew very well that this chef's training center only started construction a few days ago after Mag attended and passed the teacher's test. It had not even been a week since then, and this was such a big project. Just the number of tables and chairs of various designs that would be needed alone were uncountable. The others also looked at Luna curiously. I want to know the answer to your question too. Luna went forward with a smile. She unlocked the padlock hanging on the door and pushed open the door to the training center. The cooking bench, chopping bench, sink, utensils, pots and pans were all available. Furthermore, there was a knife rack on every chopping bench with 3 knives in it. Everything was the same. They all came in a set and they filled up the entire great hall. Meanwhile, there was a stand-alone kitchenware at the very front. It should be the teacher's cooktop. Gulp. Melly swallowed her saliva and asked with a shocked look, isn't this awesome? The other teachers had similar expressions. They were all shocked by what they saw. Will this be too extravagant for a classroom that teaches culinary skills? A teacher asked softly. The other teachers looked taken aback too. Luna loudly said, this is the training center built by Teacher Mag and he sponsored everything. I do not think that this is extravagant. Instead, this is professional. The teachers stopped their discussion after hearing that. They had also heard many rumors about that teacher Mag. They knew he was the best chef in Chaos City and he was also rich and kind. It was naturally great for the Hope School's students that he spent money to build a teaching building like this. Then, Luna and the teachers went up to the second floor and visited several comprehensive classrooms. The door to the teacher's office on the third floor was still locked. Luna looked at the key in her hand. She didn't bring them in for a look, instead, she declared the tour over and they would return for their morning meeting. All of them looked through the Night Elves' resumes during the morning meeting. Everyone turned quiet halfway through. A teacher said to Luna, "Principal, I think it isn't suitable to select 20 of them." "I think so too." "Can't we take all of them?" a teacher asked seriously. They were too outstanding. This was everyone's conclusion after they read the resumes. Almost everyone was a talent on the giant name list that the Night Elves sent over. Their average power had exceeded 6th tier. Magic casters, knights, archers, pharmacists, healers, plant magic casters, they had every genre covered. These were talents that were difficult for Hope School to recruit. At least, there were rarely talents like them among the teachers that they had recruited now. Luna was also shocked by the Night Elves' generosity. Even though she had heard about the Night Elves' considerations from Mag, which was to improve the Night Elves' overall quality after these people learned how to teach, she didn't expect Princess Irina to send the best of the best talents from the Night Elves. Luna nodded and said, "I think we can try to make them stay to the best of our capability. They will possibly stretch the upper limit of our Hope School after they get used to teaching. We can open a series of courses that we have set aside." The addition of these Night Elves was equivalent to bringing in powerful troops for Hope School. The benefits were obvious. We should treasure talents, but we are also choosing teachers for our children, so they need to have both talent and morals. I hope all of you teachers will interview them as per procedure and audit every teacher that will come in contact with the children seriously. Luna added. The teachers' excited expression faded away as they nodded solemnly. This interview lasted for the whole day and all 200 elves were interviewed. Results were released on the spot. Apart from 5 of them who were deemed unfit to be teachers, all the elves passed the interview. The elves sent by the Night Elves were way more outstanding than the terms listed simply in the resumes. The elves' long lifespans, smart brains, and outstanding learning abilities made it easier for them to be teachers. Meanwhile, humility was the main reason that people found them easy to get along with. "We've got ourselves treasures," an old teacher walked next to Luna and softly said, unable to hide her excited expression. "With this batch of talents joining us, our Hope School has gotten closer to the standard of Chaos School." Luna was also unable to hide the joy on her face as she smilingly said, "We still need you seniors to guide them along." That old teacher nodded and said, "You don't have to remind us about that. We old fogies have already discussed among ourselves. For the next 3 months, we'll train them whenever there are no lessons to get them used to the classroom and learn how to be a real teacher as soon as possible." Luna walked out of the meeting room and gave some encouragement to the elves who had taken part in the interview, and welcomed them into Hope School, before making arrangements for the upcoming work. The 20 recruitment quota was changed to 195 new intakes immediately, but before they got the recognition of the teachers' judging panel, they needed to be trained first. They couldn't start teaching immediately. As for their salary, Luna decided to pay them the same salary as the other teachers. Ashley, who led the team today, walked over and said to Luna, "Principal Luna, thank you for your trust in us, but we Night Elves don't need to be paid. Save this sum of money for the children's other expenses. You only need to provide us with 3 meals a day." "But..." Luna was hesitant. "We came here to learn and the princess wanted to do something for the children too, so their salary will be paid by the textile factory," Ashley explained with a smile. Luna nodded thoughtfully before saying gratefully, "In this case, thank you all very much." The annual salary of 200 teachers was over 10 million copper coins, which was, without a doubt, a huge sum for the school. "You're too courteous," Ashley smilingly replied. After a long day, the tired teachers went home after eating their dinner at the cafeteria. Luna came out of the cafeteria. She looked at the evening clouds and Hope School, which looked golden under the sunset, and smiled. I didn't expect my dream back then to come true so soon, Luna murmured softly. Everything was ready, they just needed to welcome Hope School's first batch of students 2 days later. She could only use her meager pay to buy some food for the homeless children back then. She had also imagined that they could read and write in a clean environment like the children in Chaos School. Now, this dream of hers was going to come true. How should I thank Mr. Mag? There would be no Hope School without him. Luna looked at the chef's training center in a daze. Suddenly, a phrase that Vivian always said popped up in her mind, marry him if you feel grateful to him. How are you going to repay him when you don't even have the determination to marry him? Mag stopped his actions and asked Amy, have you talked to their parents about this? Amy was stumped before shaking her head. I didn't. That won't do. If they go out without notifying their parents, they will think that they have gone missing and will be worried about them. Mag shook his head. A hint of panic appeared on Amy's face when she heard that. What should I do now? Mag asked her with a smile instead, what do you think you should do, little Amy? Amy thought about it seriously before saying, shall we invite their parents along too? That's a good idea. Mag nodded. But, this is our restaurant's employees' team building and vacation, it's not appropriate to bring so many people along. Then, I can tell their parents that my friends are coming on a vacation with us and that I'll protect them. Amy's eyes lit up as she said. What if they don't believe you? Amy replied with a serious expression, if they don't believe me, I will demonstrate how to shatter a rock with my chest, a rock that is the size of a millstone. Mag was touched by the little one's sincere expression. The children's traveling plans would definitely be shelved if she performed that in front of the parents. As the parent, he should go talk to the children's parents, but he was still busy with work right now. Gina came over and patted Amy's head with a smile. Little Amy, shall I go and talk to the children's parents with you? I will make them feel at ease. Really, big sister Gina? Amy looked at Gina with surprise. Of course. When have I ever lied to you? Gina nodded smilingly. Then, let's go now. They are coming back from school soon. Amy grabbed Gina's hand and walked to the restaurant's door. Mag shook his head with a smile as he continued to mill the soya beans. With Gina going with Amy, he naturally didn't have to worry. Her affinity wasn't just with the children. Her pure smile could purify one's soul and make them trust her. Someone with such a smile would usually do great in sales. It wasn't a burden to Mag to add 3 children at the last minute. It was no problem as long as Amy had fun. The Demon Islands wasn't a friendly place, but with him around, it would be a holiday destination. Gina and Amy returned to the restaurant before dinner and they also brought Jessica, Daphne, and Ignacio along with them. Ignacio bit into the red braised pork and his fatty cheeks trembled as the little bean sprout on his head turned one round. Oh, Amy! It doesn't matter if there aren't many dishes, I simply like your family's dinner ambience. Can I come to eat at your place often in the future? You're just lusting after Amy's family dishes. Daphne rolled her eyes at him with disdain, but her mouth wasn't stopping either. She was munching on the kebabs happily. Jessica's thoughts weren't on eating. Instead, she softly asked Amy in her ears, Amy, are we really going to see the sea? The boundless sea with many seashells for us to pick up on the beach. Amy swallowed the meat and nodded. Yes, we're going to see the sea, pick seashells on the beach, catch crabs, and go beat up sea monsters under the sea. Sea monsters. Fear appeared on the 3 children's faces. Don't worry. I'll protect you guys. I am very fierce. Amy patted Ignacio's shoulders and gave him a big boss smile. Ignacio looked at her and pondered seriously. His gaze turned to Meg. It was still Uncle Mag who looked more dependable. Oh yes. Isn't Big Sister Camilla living on the Demon Islands? Are we going to visit the vampires? I heard their castle on the edge of the cliff is awesome, Yabimiya said. Castle? It sounds so cool. Isn't it only princes and princesses who live in a castle? Amy looked shocked as she asked Mag, Father, let's go and play in Big Sister Camilla's castle. It will be fun to play hide and seek there. The castle that was filled with skeletons would only make the children cry, but it would definitely be thrilling to play hide and seek there. Mag nodded with a smile. All right. I'll bring you guys there to take a look. Dinner was eaten as Amy imparted some basic knowledge about the sea to the three children. After dinner, Amy brought them upstairs to play, while Mag and the ladies needed to finish the day's operations. Mag opened the door and went out with a smile. He greeted his customers before welcoming them in. Gloria, who was standing in the line, attracted his attention. Gloria, who was wearing a white down jacket, had tied her wavy blonde hair up. Her figure was slender and her features were delicate, so she was still very attractive and stood out from amongst the crowd. However, she wasn't here by herself today. Her family of 4, there was another stern-looking old man with them, Geoffrey Moreton. This wasn't the first time that Mag had met the Moreton family's head, but it was his first time seeing him at Mamie restaurant. In his impression, this old-fashioned and stubborn old man had some not very nice cognitive habits, like prejudice and arrogance towards half-breeds. At first, he was still thinking about how to topple the Moreton family's control over the Chamber of Commerce, so that he could change some of the terms. He didn't manage to do that yet, but he had already settled the Moreton family's heir and had established a close relationship with a strong competitor for the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Miss Shear. Hence, it wouldn't matter if it was Gloria or Shear who became the new president when the Chamber of Commerce changed its president in spring. He could still change those unfair terms through his relationship with them. For example, the employment discrimination terms for half-breeds should have been removed long ago. Mr. Mag. Gloria greeted him with a smile. Gloria. Mag nodded his head smilingly too. He could sense that Geoffrey was sizing him up very thoroughly when he walked by him. Mag remained calm and simply nodded slightly. Come to think of it, this stubborn old man Geoffrey should have already accepted the fact that women could also inherit the family business and expand it. With Shear's exceptionally outstanding ability as an example, Gloria's blue suede fashion had already begun to monopolize the ladies' wear in the upper echelon of society. One could see a patch of blue sky clearly. If he was to hand their family fortune to a wastrel like Cyril, he might as well give it to Gloria to gamble for a better future. Geoffrey sat down and softly asked Gloria, he designed all blue suede's clothings. Yes. Gloria nodded. She didn't hide this fact from Geoffrey and Mag had agreed to it too. I didn't think a chef like him would have such intricate thoughts. Geoffrey chuckled. He was indeed rather surprised. He had investigated Mag before. His background was very simple and his relationship with Gloria was also simple and pure. The most important factor that turned Blue Suede Textiles shop from a textiles shop that was losing money into a high-end fashion store that was highly sought after by the upper society, was that it kept releasing shocking new products. There was no doubt about Gloria's capability, but the key figure of Blue Suede was that fashion designer. Who was this man wearing a chef's suit in front of him? Mr. Mag is young and capable, kind and generous. He's indeed very admirable. Lance looked at Mag and said with appreciation, he has contributed greatly to Hope School's construction, which allows the children to go to school. It is a huge contribution to society. Yes. Mr. Mag is really a good man. Madame Deborah was also praising him. She had often heard her husband talk about Mag recently. News regarding Hope School was a hot topic in the circle of teachers right now. Of course, there was also another very important reason. Mr. Mag had successfully cured the mark on Gloria's face. She was already very grateful for that. Furthermore, he helped Gloria achieve great success in her career. If it wasn't for the fact that Mr. Mag already had a daughter, she wanted to matchmake the two of them. They looked great together. Has Mr. Mag told you about his wife? Is he divorced or a widower? Deborah whispered in Gloria's ear softly. Gloria was stunned before a blush rose up on her face. She pinched her mother's hand under the table and softly said, "Mother, how am I supposed to ask him such questions? What's so difficult to ask about? You can't go wrong trying to gain a deeper understanding of an outstanding man like Mr. Mag," Deborah answered seriously. Gloria stared at her mother with a weird expression. She didn't answer her as she didn't want to continue on the topic. Lance smilingly said, "I heard that Mr. Mag intends to set up a culinary school in Hope School. Seems like our Chaos City is going to be the holy land for the chefs on the Norland continent." Mickey's eyes brightened and he, who had been sitting quietly, curiously asked, "Culinary school? You mean they learn to cook from him?" Lance looked at him and smilingly asked, "Why? Does our little Mickey want to learn to cook too?" Mickey nodded and replied, "Yes. Mr. Mag's dishes are so scrumptious. If I learn how to make them, I can cook for all of you. Perhaps I can even open a restaurant in the future. It should be very interesting. Being a chef is hopeless. You should aspire to become an outstanding businessman," Jeffrey said sternly with a straight face. The ambience at the table turned cold immediately. Mag, who happened to walk by, faltered in his steps. He felt discriminated against. Who says that being a chef is hopeless? Doesn't he see that I'm already the #1 expert in this world already? Mag controlled his urge to console Mickey and continued to walk by them. It was hard to say if being a chef was hopeless or not, but it was true that it was very tough. Ordinary people usually couldn't take the hardship, let alone this young master from a rich family. "Mickey, you're still young and it's not time for you to decide about your future yet, but if you're interested in learning how to cook, I can ask Hope School on your behalf. Let's see if you can go for lessons if there are lessons during the weekend," Lance said to his son with a smile. He didn't let his son be pressured by his grandfather's sternness. Mickey was elated and he instinctively looked at Jeffrey carefully. Jeffrey's mouth moved as he flicked a glance at Lance, but he maintained his silence in the end. Gloria's lips curved up as she gave Mickey an encouraging look. Grandfather had changed after all. If it was in the past, he would have banged the table and lectured their father. However, he didn't even quarrel with him today. This change was rather nice. At least, they looked more like a family now. She had invited her grandmother when they came out earlier, but she rejected them. She chose to eat with her second uncle and his family at home. Gloria wasn't affected by it. Grandma had never liked their family. She must be hating her guts now that she was the only successor, even after trying to change it after they came back to Chaos City by creating trouble a few times. Compared to the lifestyle that her family led in the past, Cyril's family's current lifestyle wasn't too bad. However, they could no longer splurge like before, so she couldn't pity them at all. Gloria ordered a table full of dishes and a helping of Buddha jumps over the wall specially for Jeffrey. Looking at the menu's price tags, apart from being slightly surprised, Jeffrey didn't say anything else. This was the first restaurant in Chaos City that dared to set such high prices. However, judging by the long lines at the door, the market seemed to agree with this price and they seemed to love it, which meant this pricing was, with any doubt, very cost-effective. This made Jeffrey even more curious about Mag's culinary skills. How great were his dishes that it could make so many people become crazy fans. Soon afterwards, the dishes were served. Steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers, red braised pork, Sichuan spicy chicken, the eggplant with garlic sauce, sliced beef and ox tongue in chili sauce, mapo tofu, Buddha jumps over the wall and a bottle of rum. The dishes Gloria ordered were all served. The meaty aroma rose up with the steam and went into their nostrils. The spiciness of the Sichuan spicy chicken and steamed fish head with diced hot red peppers were in the midst of the aroma. Moreover, Jeffrey instinctively swallowed his saliva when the cover of the Buddha jumps over the wall was removed. It was a table full of dishes that looked great and smelled great. They hadn't even touched their chopsticks and the dishes were already irresistible. Very. Jeffrey nodded. He didn't try to conceal his satisfaction with this meal. This meal had far exceeded his expectations. Initially, he agreed to Gloria's invitation simply because he didn't want to see Denise, Cyril, and his family's faces at home. He had never heard of all these scrumptious dishes before and their tastes amazed him. Although he wasn't a gluttonous person and had been to many places when he was young, this was the first time he had met a chef with such exceptional culinary skills. Mag was so famous at such a young age. His ability was indeed admirable. Jeffrey began to like Mag more and more. Then, let's come again in the future, Gloria said with a smile. It wasn't easy to receive praise from her grandfather. Sure. Jeffrey nodded slightly. Lining up for some time didn't seem to matter anymore if he could get to such delicious food. Gloria settled the bill and glanced at the kitchen before leaving with her family members. The dinner service ended and Amy ran downstairs to ask Mag, who was removing his apron and coming out of the kitchen, "Father, where is big sister SAHDR? Is she here yet?" I didn't see her tonight." Mag shook his head. Someone knocked on the door as soon as he finished talking. It must be big sister SAHDR. Amy ran to the door happily and pulled the door open on her tiptoes. It was indeed SAHDR standing at the door in her action suit. "Wow! Big sister SAHDR! You're so cool," Amy said. "Thank you." SAHDR smiled before turning her gaze onto Mag. "Are we setting off tonight? Are we taking a flying steed?" You can say that. The restaurant's service has just ended and we need to change before setting off. Please come in first," Mag nodded and said to SAHDR, who was wearing soft leather armor and shorts. She had replaced her shattered boomerang. An obvious golden A was carved on the black boomerang. "Alex." Mag raised his eyebrows slightly. SAHDR nodded and entered the restaurant. "All right. Let's go and change, and then we will set off," Mag said to the ladies who had already cleaned up the restaurant. He also went upstairs and changed into a casual short-sleeved t-shirt, shorts, and beach slippers. SAHDR sat at the side and watched the maidens coming downstairs one by one with a weird expression. Everyone was wearing pretty, thin dresses. That succubus was even wearing a dress with thin straps. Her deep cleavage was staring at all of them. It seemed like they were all going to play. Was she the only one going to beat up the sea monster? "I've prepared some clothes for you. Do you want to change into them?" Mag came over with a paper bag and gave it to SAHDR. "No, I have a mission and to complete it, I have to be appropriately dressed. As a mercenary, this is my basic professional quality." SAHDR raised her heart to decline him, but she couldn't help peeping into the paper bag in Mag's hand. What kind of clothes did he prepare for her? A little dress? Even though the little dresses were pretty, the weather wasn't suitable to wear little dresses yet. They would know how cold it was as soon as they stepped out. "All right. I'll hold on to them for you for now." Mag nodded. He didn't force her. Anyway, she would know how ridiculous her clothes were once they arrived. Looking at the maidens again, he felt they looked really good. He hadn't seen them in pretty little dresses for a long time. "Let's go. We're setting off now." Mag walked towards the staircase. Everyone followed and the children were the ones to run upstairs first. Upstairs? SAHDR was a little hesitant. Perhaps the flying steed was stopping on the roof? However, she took up the rear and followed them upstairs. Mag opened the door and went out onto the balcony on the third floor. A small building was attached to it seamlessly. Yabimiya asked in shock, "When did we have this little building added onto the balcony?" The others were also looking at Mag with shock. They didn't see the 2 extra floors on top of the restaurant when they came to eat dinner. "This is the mobile restaurant," Miss Shear's latest invention. However, it's not to be shown to the public yet. I borrowed it from her and will be taking it to the Demon Islands. Mag opened the door and made the gesture for them to enter it. SAHDR stared at this intricate two-story building with shock and couldn't help thinking, mobile restaurant? Does it fly? Although all of them were curious, they still followed Mag into the mobile restaurant. They knew Miss Shear, the person in charge of the Buffett family, a super rich woman. Compared to Mamie restaurant, this restaurant was small and intricate. Perhaps, one should say that it looked more like a residence. There was only one big dining table on the first floor that could let 20 people eat together. The recreational area next to it had a thick rug laid on the floor and the fire in the fireplace was burning brightly, making the room very warm. There were all kinds of board games placed on the shelves and there was also a projection screen on the wall at the side. This was set up by Mag in advance. Anyway, he wasn't going to set up shop for this trip, so he got the system to custom make a recreational area. The rug was huge and could allow 20 to 30 people to lie on it and roll around as they pleased. They could just sleep on the carpet if they were tired at night. After all, he didn't prepare that many rooms. SAHDR stood at the door and looked at the warm and exquisite hall. Sensing the hot air coming in contact with her face, she suddenly realized that she had indeed overdressed. The soft armor might look thin and light, but it was made with the best rhinoceros hide. Not only did it keep one warm, but it would emit heat energy so she wouldn't feel cold in the Magic Beast mountain range, even during the coldest winter. But now, it really was not. This indoor temperature was simply too high. She already felt her chest and back heating up as soon as she came in. Sweat was beading on her nose and the leather boots she was wearing were also emitting heat. Mag closed the door and made the restaurant take off immediately. Looking at SAHDR, who was standing there motionlessly, Mag smiled and went up to her. "Take a seat over there. I'm going to prepare the barbecue now. Have fun." SAHDR nodded. She suddenly wanted to ask him to let her try the clothes that she had just rejected. Perhaps, she could really wear them. It's not often that we come out to play. "Everyone, just enjoy yourself to the fullest," Mag told all of them as he put on the apron and went into the kitchen. "Let's all put on a performance." Amy jumped out and said to everyone, "I'll go first. I'll perform something new that I've just learned. Shattering a rock on my chest. What you need to do is very simple. You simply need to use this hammer to shatter the rock on my chest." Amy took a giant hammer as she spoke and gave it to SAHDR. SAHDR held onto that giant hammer that weighed almost 50 kilograms in a daze. She only regained her wits after a while. How did little Amy hold onto this giant hammer and pass it to her single-handedly? Her relaxed demeanor was even more natural than hers. Meanwhile, Amy had already lain on the carpet with a thick slab on her chest. Yabimiya knelt next to Amy and worriedly asked, "Little Amy, are you confident about this? This rock was at least 100 to 150 kilograms, and the little one was placing it on herself just like that. Furthermore, she wanted SAHDR to shatter it with a heavy hammer. I don't think it's appropriate." SAHDR put the giant hammer down. She couldn't use such a big hammer to smash at a little girl. She already felt that the huge rock on Amy's chest was going to crush her at any time, so there was no way she could perform the trick as she asked. "Yes. Let's perform some other shows, like singing and dancing." Ferris nodded too as she looked at Amy worriedly. "It's fine. I am really formidable." Amy looked around and realized that no one wanted to come up to smash the rock. Hence, she had to lift up her hand with the rock on her chest. "All right, since no one wants to smash it, I just have to smash it myself." As she spoke, she clenched her right hand into a fist and smashed it onto the rock on her chest. The little fist was cute and delicate, and it looked completely harmless. However, such a cute little fist made a heavy dull thud when it smashed onto that thick slab of rock. Crack! The sound of cracking arose in the room. With the fist as the center point, cracks like spider webs quickly spread out. The whole piece of rock instantly shattered into countless pieces and fell all around Amy. None of the pieces were bigger than the size of a fist. The restaurant was silent for a while as everyone looked at Amy with a shocked expression. And Sever's mouth was wide agape with shock. She knew Amy knew magic. She had demonstrated her talent in magic the last time they went on a mission together. But why could she shatter a huge rock on her chest? Moreover, she performed the feat by shattering the rock on her chest herself. That wasn't a prop. It was a real rock. It was a solid piece of granite that was commonly seen in Chaos City. Amy is so awesome. Daphne stared at Amy with admiration and stars in her eyes. Meanwhile, Ignatius shifted further away from Amy and he began to seriously consider his attitude towards Amy in the future at the same time. The close combat magic is so terrifying. I want to learn it too. Babla was a little envious. She wondered if Amy could introduce her to Krasu, so that she could go learn close combat magic from Krasu. A magic caster's weakness was her close combat ability. As a spatial magic caster, she had more self-defense ability than the normal magic caster, but she could only defend herself. Who didn't want to experience the exhilaration of close combat? If possible, she wanted to experience that too. Everyone didn't forget to give Amy a round of applause to show her their recognition while feeling astonished at the same time. Thank you. Amy bowed slightly and returned to her seat with satisfaction. Elizabeth waved her hand and swept away the shattered pieces of rock on the carpet. Now, everyone will do one performance. Let's take turns. Gina will go on stage to sing first. Angela stood and took on the role of MC automatically. Gina got up and stood in the center of the carpet graciously. She said an unknown song's name before singing aloud. The beautiful ethereal singing sounded like murmurs from the deep sea. Everyone was mesmerized by it. Sever sat at a corner far away from the fireplace. She was burning up and her forehead was full of sweat. Have an ice cream. Yabimiya sat down next to her and passed her a freshly made ice cream. Thank you. Sever scooped a spoonful of matcha flavor ice cream into her mouth. The cold sensation went straight to her heart and the hot feeling instantly disappeared. The sweet and refreshing taste spread in her mouth. It was so comfortable that she wanted to moan. Sever felt her soul return to her body after eating a few mouthfuls of ice cream continuously. Listening to the lovely song, her mood quickly relaxed. Mia smilingly watched Sever finish her ice cream before saying, "Why don't I bring you to change your clothes? You can put on your armor when we go out to sea. Let us have fun and enjoy ourselves tonight." Sever looked at the warm smile on Mia's face hesitantly. However, the heat began to overcome her again after she finished the ice cream. She couldn't remove her clothes as this was a decent party. However, she really felt overheated. Let's go upstairs to change. Mia pulled Sever up by her hand and took the paper bag that was on a cabinet at the side as she informed Mag in the kitchen. "Boss, I took the clothes. I'm bringing Miss Sever upstairs to change her clothes." "Sure," Mag replied in the kitchen. "Go in and change your clothes. You can even have a quick shower. Water will come out when you turn that dial. I'll wait for you outside." Mia turned on the bathroom's light and taught Sever how to use the shower head before passing the paper bag to Sever. "Thank you," Sever said to Mia gratefully before going into the bathroom with the paper bag. There was a faint yellow long dress in the paper bag when she opened it up. The material was light and soft and it felt comfortable. Other than that, there were also 2 other pieces of lingerie. Sever blushed. She didn't expect him to prepare the lingerie for her as well. However, he definitely wouldn't know about her size, so it would be uncomfortable if it didn't fit her. Then, she saw the 2 pieces of leopard print lingerie in another little bag at the bottom of the paper bag. The sexy design and print made Sever blush immediately. This is simply too disgusting. Sever felt humiliated. But, why did the leopard print lingerie on the chair look so enticing? It should look very good on her, right? SAHDR turned on the cold water and had a cold shower to calm herself down first. She stood in front of the mirror in a daze for some time. She had no idea why she put that lingerie on, either. Looking at her sexy and wild self in the mirror, SAHDR was stunned. She looked so nice. Her tiny waist with firm abs made her full boobs and perky bottom looked even more sexy. The attractive leopard print complemented her tan complexion very well. Her loose flowing red hair made her a little more seductive. But, why does it fit so perfectly? SAHDR's expression froze on her face. However, she had to admit that this set of clothing felt so comfortable. It was light and soft, but not overly translucent. Furthermore, looking at herself in the dress in the mirror, this was the first time that she realized that she could actually look so good in a dress. SAHDR, this dress is so pretty and it fits you perfectly. Mia's eyes lit up when she saw SAHDR. Thank you. SAHDR nodded slightly, her face becoming even redder. He was a man that she seldom interacted with, and yet he had prepared clothes that fitted her perfectly. This was hard to explain. Let's go down. There are exciting performances waiting for us. Mia pulled SAHDR's hand and brought her downstairs. When they passed by the kitchen, SAHDR glanced at Mag with complex emotions. She didn't know if she should praise him for having good taste and assessment skills, or scold him for being a disgusting lecher. It fits her well. Mag had also noticed her. He deliberately walked to the door and nodded at her with satisfaction. She removed her soft leather armor and pants and changed into this long dress. She also let down her tightly tied up long hair. SAHDR, with her hot figure and tan complexion, looked a little like a supermodel. He wondered how she would look in that leopard print swimsuit. Wow, big sister SAHDR looks so pretty after changing into a dress, Amy said loudly. Everyone looked over with an appreciative expression. This gaze made SAHDR feel a little uncomfortable, but a little happy at the same time. She had never worn a dress since she became a mercenary and took over the Rose Mercenary Squad 10 years ago. Normal people might be attracted by her hot figure, but after seeing that boomerang she had on her back, they would control themselves. However, very few people would look at her with such an appreciative gaze like right now. The way they looked at her was just like how she looked at beautiful girls walking past her. Angela looked at SAHDR and said, Gina has already sung 3 songs. Now, we'll let SAHDR, who has changed into a pretty dress, perform for us. Me. SAHDR was taken aback before she instantly waved her hands. I don't know how to sing or dance. As a mercenary, all the skills she learned in the past few years had been about survival and getting stronger. None of them were entertainment skills like singing and dancing. Angela shook her head and smilingly said, It's fine if you don't know how to sing or dance. You can perform whatever you are good at. Didn't Amy just perform by shattering a rock on her chest? SAHDR lowered her head to look at her chest. She felt that wouldn't have worked on her. However, her gaze soon landed on the chopsticks holder on the table at the side. Her eyes lit up as she said, I know what I can perform for you guys. She went to the table and picked up a chopstick. She flicked her finger and drew a parabola before she tossed the chopstick out. They saw that silver chopstick turn into a silver light and spin around the spacious hall twice before returning to SAHDR's hand. So cool! The 4 children stared in amazement and then they clapped. The maidens also clapped in amazement. It wasn't hard to do that. Almost everyone present could do that, especially Bablat. As a spatial magic caster, she could make an object do any movement. However, SAHDR was different. What she used was pure technique. She used the strength of her wrist and fingertips to make the chopstick fly in a complex manner before returning to her hand. This definitely needed long-term practice before she could make it seem so easy. SAHDR didn't expect everyone to respond so enthusiastically, so she performed a few other tricks like hitting the chopstick on a little wooden plaque on the door and making it rebounce back to her hand. Everyone enjoyed the show happily. Especially the children. They crowded around SAHDR, saying that they wanted to learn. However, just making the chopstick spin on their fingertips had stumped the little ones. Instead, Annie was already spinning the chopstick on her fingertips quietly at the side. This was a technique that many ace students could master without trying too hard. SAHDR relaxed completely after all the interaction. She sat in the crowd, watching others perform or chatting with the girls occasionally. She began to smile more and more. Although the Rose Mercenary Squad had a great ambience, their lifestyle was risky and dangerous. They were always tense when they were on a mission. Furthermore, they stayed by themselves alone if they were not doing any missions. They mostly drank and ate meat when they gathered and chatted about the matters in the mercenary circle. SAHDR only realized that she really didn't have any female friends up until now. Perhaps, she didn't even treat herself as a woman most of the time. However, she really liked this ambience of singing, dancing and joking with the girls. She felt that even her soul was relaxed. Everyone was sitting on the soft rug in a warm room. She was wearing a comfortable dress and surrounded by pretty maidens. It was simply too relaxing. The barbecue is ready. Let's eat and play at the same time. Mag came out with 2 big plates of kebabs and put them in front of the ladies. I'll go get the beer. Mia jumped up. She soon returned with a lot of beer and distributed it to all the adults. Eating kebabs with beer was fantastic. Mag also sat among the ladies. He raised up his beer mug and smilingly said, "Let's cheer to celebrate in advance. Let's hope we all have a lot of fun on the trip. Cheers." Everyone raised their cups and only gulping sounds could be heard after that. That night, all of them barbecued the meat, the giant crayfish and the oysters, drank beer and sang and danced to their heart's content. Later that night, Mag put down the glass and looked at the maidens who were drunk and lying on the rug. He burped and frowned. He got up to clean up the mess first before setting all the ladies straight and covering them with a blanket as they slept on the floor. Then, he carried his 2 daughters upstairs to let them sleep on the bed before taking a shower and sleeping in his room. Wow! It's the sea. We're really at the beach. It's so pretty. It looks just like a sapphire and I really can't see its end. Early the next morning, Mag was woken up by sounds of exclamation. After stretching himself, Mag pulled open the curtains to look at the blue sky and sea, and the rascals rolling about on the sandy beach without a care in front of the door. There was a little forest on the island and a little lake in the forest, which was a freshwater lake. Coconut trees could be seen everywhere and there were also a few other kinds of tropical fruits in the forest. Mag didn't know their names, but he had seen people eating them on the Demon Islands before. Because it was located in the deep sea, no mammals could be seen on the island. However, it became a paradise for the birds. The children's shouts made the birds in the forest behind the house take flight in fright. There were a lot of them, which looked spectacular. Is this the sea? It's so spectacular. SAHDR stood in front of the house and looked at the boundless sea. The waves crashed onto the beach and the blue sky afar connected with the sea, giving her soul a huge shock. She thought that the Magic Beast mountain range was huge, but compared to the sea now, she finally realized that the Magic Beast mountain range was just a small mountain range and nothing spectacular. Other than that, she also felt the heat wave coming at her. Yes. With the hot sun shining on her, she felt as if she was in Chaos City during August. Fortunately, she was still wearing that light yellow long dress. She was still considering whether she should change into her leather armor before she came out. After all, the Demon Islands were the most dangerous place on the Norland continent. Looking at it now, she could give up on that idea. If she changed into the armor, the first thing she had to consider was whether she would faint from the heat. She turned around and saw Mag standing by the second-floor window. Mag also noticed her gaze. Wearing loose pajamas, he unknowingly showed off his perfect figure with muscular pecs and abs while he smiled at SAHDR. Sivir blushed and quickly turned her head around as she felt her heart race suddenly. To a mercenary, a man showing his chest was nothing. But, why was his figure so good? Solid pecs with distinctive abs. The perfect lines extended all the way down. However, he was obviously just a chef. The weather is great. It will be a waste if I don't go swim in the sea. Mag changed his clothes and went downstairs. However, he was going to make breakfast for all of them first. After breakfast, Mag said to all of them, "The beach chairs are in the storage pod behind you. You can get them out yourself if you want to sunbathe. You can also go upstairs and change into your swimsuit if you want to swim. I want to go swimming. Swimming in the sea is the best. I also want to go catch sea monsters in the sea." Amy was the first to jump off the chair and run upstairs. "I also want to go dip in the sea. I haven't seen such good weather for a long time." Mia followed Amy upstairs. They had come to the Demon Islands for a vacation before, so they knew how to play. Furthermore, everyone had prepared their bikini before they came, so they wouldn't feel awkward now. They all went upstairs to change. Mag looked at Sivir, who wasn't moving, and smilingly said, "You are not going to change your clothes?" Sivir bit her lower lips with a blush as she shook her head and said, "I'm not changing. That leopard print swimsuit was simply too embarrassing." Although she had to admit that it looked pretty, she still couldn't accept the fact of wearing it in front of Mag. "I haven't felt the feeling of freedom for a long time. Boss, I'll wait for you in the sea." Gina was the first to come downstairs. She was wearing her seashell swimsuit. The two colorful seashells couldn't cover her bosoms completely. Her natural wildness and beauty, together with that innocent face, made her look innocent and desirable at the same time. "Go ahead." Mag nodded smilingly. The sea was Gina's real home. It seemed like she already couldn't wait any longer. "Sivir, go change into your swimsuit too. If you don't know how to swim, I can teach you later," Gina said to Sivir smilingly before walking to the sea. Sivir's eyes widened slightly as she watched Gina walk to the sea with her beautiful back completely exposed and leap into the sea, making a splash. Gina's swimsuit was natural and beautiful, but it was more revealing than hers. However, she seemed so confident as she showed off her perfect figure boldly. Meanwhile, Mag's expression was gentle and natural. He didn't show a lecherous expression just because Gina was wearing very little. He was only appreciating her beauty with restraint if he really was looking at her. The ladies came down one after another. They all changed into beautiful swimsuits, which were all colorful and distinctly different. Elizabeth was wearing an icy blue one-piece swimsuit that made her figure look even more perfect. She looked noble and holy, making people unable to disrespect her. Yabimia's was two sunflowers. She looked sunny and energetic. Babla's was a pink school swimsuit. Although she looked rather common, she was still cute. Fira's swimsuit was more conservative. It was a cute swimsuit with a skirt. She was still pulling her skirt with a blush when she was coming downstairs. In that moment, the ladies vied with each other for beauty, which slightly overwhelmed Sivir. Meanwhile, everyone was looking at her strangely. She was the only one not wearing her swimsuit. "Big sister Sivir, where's your swimsuit?" Amy was wearing a cute purple school swimsuit. She looked up at Sivir and asked, "Didn't we agree to go catch sea animals together?" Sivir felt embarrassed after being stared at by everyone, but she still stubbornly said, "I'll just wear this. We'll go catch the sea animals." Mag, who was leaning against the door frame, smilingly said, "Your clothes will become transparent once you get into the water. Don't say that I didn't warn you beforehand." What? Sivir turned pale. "Moreover, this is a dress. Do you think you can control its shape once you get in the water? This isn't some advanced anti-gravity dress," Mag continued to say. Sivir's brain was already imagining the scene of her dress floating up after she jumped into the water. It was so shameful. She felt tricked by Mag. From the moment she put on this dress, no, from the moment she entered this house. Big sister SAHDR, go change into the swimsuit. I'll wait for you. We have an agreement, Amy said to her with a serious expression. SAHDR looked at Amy. She didn't want to let her down. SAHDR looked at the ladies in their swimsuits. It seemed like her swimsuit was not a big deal, at least it suited her. All right. I'll change now. SAHDR quickly went upstairs. Mag raised his eyebrows slightly. His taste was not bad. It indeed suited her. This swimsuit is so sexy and it suits you perfectly. Mia praised her. Why, are theirs all so big? Babla pulled away her collar to take a look at her chest. She felt crushed. Don't be disappointed, big sister Babla. You'll be able to shatter a rock on your chest next time. Amy encouraged her. Thank you so much. Babla placed her hand over her heart. This suggestion wasn't aggressive, but it was very hurtful. I'm going to surf. You guys do as you please. Children who can't swim will play with the sand on the beach, Mag said before going out with a surfboard. Mag had drowned in the sea in his previous life, so in order to get over it, he had been doing swimming practices recently. From conquering the bathtub, to conquering Gina's tank, to conquering the Aden Squares fountain, to conquering the man-made lake. Finally, it was time to conquer the sea. Standing on the cliff by the sea, Mag looked at the surging sea. Loud sounds were made every time the waves crashed onto the beach. He stared into the sea, which got increasingly obscure the deeper it went, as though spirits were hiding there. It gave people a suffocating fear. Mag closed his eyes and took a deep breath before leaping down. He was just like a beautiful silver fish. Oh, no! That was a stiff salted fish that clashed onto the water surface hard, horizontally. Smash! A loud bang and water splashed up 3 meters high. The Filipino national diving team would be ecstatic if they saw that. Mag didn't faint, but he was just a little dizzy. Of course, this dizziness only lasted for a moment before the salty sea water woke him up instantly. In that moment, the shadow of death engulfed him again as though a pair of invisible hands had caught onto him and was pulling him down to the bottom of the sea. He couldn't get away from it and could only allow it to drag him down into the darkness. Just like his previous life, he couldn't fight back at all. No. I'm no longer Shen Mag. I'm Mag Alex, a man who is close to being a god. A voice screamed in his heart. He opened his eyes and the darkness immediately went away. A waterless space that was 3 meters wide appeared around his body. Mag floated in the sea quietly like that. His surroundings were completely silent. He could see the bottom of the sea dozens of meters below. The little fish and shrimps were shivering amongst the corals and fish were quickly escaping away, as though they were spooked by something. Mag extended his hand and slowly stuck it out of the waterless space. The sea water engulfed his palm and the space instantly collapsed. The sea water swallowed him up. However, he no longer felt fear and suffocation this time. He was floating in the sea quietly. There was a hint of shock amidst his calm expression. Mag was indeed shocked. He seemed to have gained the ability to breathe in water. He didn't have to hold his breath, or need other breathing apparatus. He could just get oxygen directly from the water. Mag curiously asked inwardly, "System, what is this principle?" "This is just normal operation for a fake god. There's nothing much to introduce about it," the system calmly said. Mag perplexedly asked, "Then, why didn't I have this ability when I first fell into the water? I almost died again. Any ability needs to be activated. Furthermore, it was your psychological trauma that almost killed you earlier," the system answered. Mag couldn't be bothered to argue with it. However, other than receiving the ability to survive underwater in that moment, he also got rid of his trauma and fear of the deep sea. He dived towards the bottom of the sea. He had seen a big prawn earlier, all the ladies ran to the sea and jumped in. They began to swim happily like fishes. With Gina the mermaid who grew up in the sea, the ladies in the restaurant had long learned how to swim. Amy swam 2 rounds in the water before seeing that Sivir was still waiting at the seashore. Hence, Amy called out, "Big sister Sivir, let's go play in the sea. I seem to have seen a big sea monster." Sivir looked at the deep blue sea with a hesitant look on her face. She envied those ladies who could swim in the sea like fishes. She didn't know how to swim. She was a child that grew up in the mountains. She was great at climbing trees, but it was hard for her to go into the sea to catch fishes. Gina swam over and shook her hair before revealing a warm smile and extending her hand to Sivir. "Sivir, come over here. I'll teach you how to swim." Sivir looked at Gina's hand and Amy's expectant eyes. After a moment of hesitation, she eventually extended her hand. Gina grabbed her hand and pulled gently. Sivir fell into the sea. It was already the abyss one step away. Sivir felt as though she was stepping on soft cotton. No matter how hard she kicked her legs, her body was still sinking. The water had already submerged her waist, shoulders, neck, mouth. The sea water's saltiness was so clear, just like her racing heart. Her arms stretched forward stiffly, as if she had already forgotten how to struggle. Then, she fell into a soft embrace. Air returned to her again as the gentle voice spoke next to her ear, "Don't worry. I'm here. Now relax your body. Imagine you are a puddle of water. Slowly merge together with the sea water." Sivir felt her heart calm down slowly. Then, she followed that voice's instructions and moved her body. The cooling sea water gradually became gentle. Moreover, she felt a power that moved upward. She only needed to control her body and coordinate with that power to let herself float on the water surface. Then, she could use her arms and legs to move forward. "Now, open your eyes. You already know how to swim," Gina said. Sivir opened her eyes. Her arms pushed against the water gently and she was floating on the water surface with a smile on her face. She really knows how to swim. It was really incredible. "Thank you, Gina," Sivir said to Gina gratefully. "Don't mention it." Gina gave her a warm smile. "Go enjoy yourself. The sea is, in fact, the gentlest existence. Big sister Sivir, since you have learned how to swim, I'll teach you how to dive. Take a deep breath like me and swim downwards." Amy sucked in a deep breath and dived into the water. Sivir hesitated for a moment before taking a deep breath. She followed Amy and swam into the sea. Swimming is fun, and it's an essential survival skill. If you guys fall into the water accidentally in the future, you don't have to worry about drowning if you know how to swim. Gina walked up to the shore. "I don't want to swim. I'm afraid of water." Ignatzu threw the little spade down and turned around to run away. However, he was picked up by his collar after only running a few steps. "Ignatzu, we'll start with you. Look at you. You are fat and round, and you already have a natural float around your waist. You'll float in the water naturally, so you will definitely learn to swim very fast." Gina picked up Ignatzu and jumped into the sea with him. "Help!" Ignatzu let out a scream and a series of gurgling sounds followed. "Go for it, Ignatzu!" Daphne clenched her fist as she shouted out her encouragement. Then, she instinctively took half a step backwards and hid behind Jessica. Although she also wanted to swim freely in the sea like a fish, just like Amy, the sea was simply too terrifying. Would she sink if she fell into it? Were there scary sea monsters that ate people in it? Whenever she thought about these things, she felt the deep blue sea was just like a sea monster with an open mouth. Jessica looked at Ignatzu, who was struggling in the sea, with bright eyes. Her expression changed from fear to interest, and then finally to enthusiasm. Ignatzu struggled in the sea for a while and drank a few mouthfuls of sea water, when he suddenly realized that he really wasn't sinking. The fat on his tummy was indeed just like a float. It created an exquisite balance at his waist, which allowed him to float on the water surface. "Hey! I have learned how to swim!" Ignatzu shouted in surprise. "No, you are just floating on the water surface with your body's natural buoyancy. You have to move yourself to call it swimming." Gina shook her head smilingly and pushed him forward gently. Ignatzu fell forward and instinctively moved his arms. Just like that, his rotund body that was floating on the water surface swam away. "Now, you have really learned how to swim." Gina nodded with satisfaction and turned to look at Jessica and Daphne. Before Gina could speak, Jessica already raised up her hand and said, "Big sister Gina, I want to learn how to swim too." A smile appeared on Gina's face as she waved her hand and said, "Good girl. Jessica, come here. Big sister will teach you how to swim." Around 30 minutes later, Mag went ashore with a long piece of seaweed in his hand. There were all kinds of live seafood tied to the seaweed. There were 10 or so 500 grams crabs. Huge lobsters were tied together like a bundle of firewood. The yellow croakers were tied up in a row and there was a net full of big scallops. Amy and Sivir, who had failed to find sea monsters, came ashore. The little one ran over and asked with surprise, "We've got so much seafood. Are we going to have a seafood feast today?" The ladies who were sunbathing on the beach after swimming, all looked over with an expectant gaze. They could already imagine the umami of the freshly cooked seafood. Together with Mag's culinary skills, they were already drooling after seeing the ingredients. "Yes. We are going to make a simple seafood feast with all the freshly caught seafood. We naturally have to eat fresh seafood when we come to the sea." Mag nodded with a smile. He simply caught some seafood before making a simple seafood feast. Red braised big blue crabs, Mala spicy lobsters, garlic lobsters, steamed large yellow croakers, a big plate of scallops with minced garlic and bean vermicelli, a big plate of grilled oysters, a pot of simple sea cucumbers and prawn porridge, all together with the fruits that the ladies picked. "It's time to eat." Mag brought the dining table to the beach and all of them sat at the long table. They basked in the warm sun, enjoyed the sea breeze and seafood feast that was freshly caught. Sivir looked at all the dishes on the table and gulped. She was feeling a little weird. She felt that she didn't seem to have undertaken a mercenary's mission, nor was she working. Instead, she seemed to come here to play with all of them. Not only did she have fun, she also learned how to swim and got to eat scrumptious food at every mealtime. Mag looked at Sivir, who was still in her leopard print swimsuit, and smilingly said, "Eat, don't be shy. Take it as if you are in your own home." "Home?" Sivir flicked a glance at him. "Perhaps, he is hinting something to me? But we don't seem to know each other well, right? Even though we could make this work slowly, isn't he moving too fast now? Come, have a scallop." Mag picked up a scallop with minced garlic and bean vermicelli for her. "Thank you." Sivir nodded with a blush as she looked at the scallop on her plate. The scallop's shell was a natural container. The white bean vermicelli and golden brown minced garlic were stacked on the thick scallop meat. There were also a few small red chilies which were pretty and colorful. Obviously, it was plated with extreme care. The umami's aroma greeted their noses. After swimming for a long time, the porridge that they had in the morning was already long digested. Their stomachs couldn't help grumbling. She picked up that scallop and then popped everything on the scallop into her mouth. The rich garlic aroma aroused her taste buds first, then the sweetness of the seafood and the perfect texture exploded in her mouth. Finally, it was the satisfaction of chewing the bean vermicelli that brought everything together. Every mouthful was different and each layer was distinct. All the taste buds were activated and it made chewing unstoppable. That exhilarating sensation went all over, from inside to outside and from top to bottom, as though her soul had gone to heaven. She bit onto her lower lip gently, but she still couldn't help but lament. "Ah, delicious." Mag looked at her trembling body with appreciation. It was a beautiful silhouette. "Eat more if you like it." Mag gave her a few more. Sivir bit her lip. Her face was slightly hot. She looked at Mag with a slightly aggrieved gaze, but looking at the scallops on her plate, her hand couldn't help picking up another one. It was so scrumptious. This was an irresistible taste. Even when her brain told her she shouldn't continue, her body couldn't help but fall into the abyss. This was the first time that Mag made the scallops with minced garlic and bean vermicelli, but it received raving reviews from everyone. The grilled oysters were equally popular. The whole plate was finished in a short while. The red braised blue crabs were more troublesome to eat, but the fresh and succulent crab meat brought an incomparable satisfaction that the smaller kind of crabs couldn't. It was equally popular. Of course, other than at their source, the freshest ingredients could also be found in his fridge. A refrigerator that reached the source of all ingredients could not only help him save up on middleman costs, but also guarantee the freshness of the ingredients. Ding! The host's seafood feast had gained 100% satisfaction and would be awarded with the recipes of the steamed large yellow croaker, scallops with minced garlic and bean vermicelli, and charcoal grilled oysters. Please pass the test for the god of cookery within 3 days. Otherwise, the recipes will be taken back. The system's voice rang in Mag's head suddenly. Mag's eyes lit up. He did not think that this feast could actually trigger the system's reward. However, after thinking about it, he could understand why. The system was encouraging him to try cooking various styles of dishes to become a legitimate chef. What about the red braised blue crab? Isn't that good too? Mag asked. That, the system said in disdain. Mag glanced at the plate of red braised blue crab that was almost empty. He could really do better with his control of the fire. The seasoning was an improved recipe from the red braised lobster, so it was not bad, but it was still far from perfect. All right, so be it. Mag was not greedy either. It was already very generous of the system to give him 3 recipes in one go. After lunch, everyone basked in the sun for a while before Mag suggested to them, "Why don't we stay in Camilla's castle today?" "All right. I love castles." Amy was the first one to jump up as she agreed with a nod. The children were all filled with anticipation. There were many fairy tales about castles, and usually, either the princess or the prince would live in a castle. However, this is a vampire's castle. It's a little different from the ones you read about in the fairy tales, Mag said with a smile. "I heard that vampires love to suck children's blood," Yabimiya said. "That's so scary. I don't want to go to the vampire's castle anymore. I want to go home. I want my mommy." Ignazio was so frightened that his beansprout wilted as he covered his face and shook in fear. Daphne also looked a little scared. She inched closer to Amy as she tried to find some sense of security. However, Jessica had a calm expression and even appeared a little curious. Amy was even more excited. She clenched her fists as she said, "In that case, it will be even more fun. I want to go. If we run into a vampire that sucks children's blood, I'll wallop him. Let's go to Camilla's house, then." Mag smiled. He turned the flying restaurant into a gigantic ship and called the ladies on board. After the war, Camilla, who was the chief of the vampires, returned to Demon Islands and stopped working in the restaurant. As an employer, Mag was rather unsatisfied with this employee who disappeared from work after being promoted and striking it big. Other than bringing everyone over to visit, Mag intended to ask Camilla if she was coming back to work. If she was not, he could hire someone new. Right now, Ferris could not manage the preparation of all the ingredients alone. Mag would always have to share most of the load with her. Mag sat at the stern with a fishing rod in his hand as he enjoyed the breeze with his eyes closed for a little nap. He was not bothered about whether he could catch any fish since he already had his fill. The vampires' territory was not far from where they were. After half an hour's boat ride, an island shrouded with fog appeared in front of them. It was an island made up of black rocks. It was partially visible behind the fog and looked rather eerie and mysterious. This island looks so eerie and scary. Ignazio covered his eyes and hid behind everyone as he shook in fear. Daphne, don't be scared. I'm here, Amy said seriously as she held on to Daphne's little hands. Daphne looked at Amy and was somehow confident in her. It was as though there was nothing to be afraid of as long as Amy was around. We came in such a hurry that we did not have the chance to notify her. I wonder if she's at home. Mag put away his fishing rod and threw a large crab that was hanging at the end of the rod back into the sea before going to the bow of the boat. Chief, Camilla and Dracula have gone out. Let's meet the Lord Ancestor. You are the most reputable person in the tribe. How could Camilla that lass be the chief? Nobody can accept it, a vampire told Maynard, who was stroking the ring on his finger with a grave expression. There were a few other vampires around who concurred, showing their loyalty. Maynard remained silent for a while before saying, Dracula is no longer the Dracula of the past. According to the rules, he has the right to train Camilla into the next chief. This was also something that Lord Ancestor has silently consented to. Besides, Camilla is my daughter. But chief, you've worked so hard to lead the vampires for so many years. How could you let Dracula and Camilla, those two lunatics, mess it up like that? What will happen to the vampires from now on? We don't feel safe. That's right. Chief, we know that Camilla is your daughter but she is not on your side. The other vampires agreed. Maynard clenched his fist slowly as he recalled the humiliating scene when Dracula snatched the position of chief from him. He should have been the ancestor but Dracula intercepted and became the real invincible one. Right now, Dracula did not even show him any face. After snatching his position as chief, he even made Camilla the new chief. There were jokes and mockery about him spreading around the Demon Islands saying that he was old and useless, and that even his daughter had stepped all over his head. Sir! A boat is advancing towards our territory, a vampire reported from outside. Boat? Maynard frowned. The other vampires were also shocked. Take a look at who it is, Maynard ordered. Yes, sir, the vampire at the door replied. The big boat sailed through the fog and quickly arrived at a rather gentle slope. Vampires could fly, so there was no harbor for a large boat to dock at on this island. There were even countless hidden corals nearer to the shore of the island. Mag dropped the anchor and stood at the bow of the boat as he looked at the two dots in the sky advancing towards them. Two Batmen, oh, vampires. The two vampires hovered in midair at a mountain cliff. One of the vampires, whose mouth was filled with sharp fangs, looked at Mag and asked fiercely, Who are you? Why are you intruding into the vampires' territory? He had already seen the women and children on the boat. They would probably taste good too. They could kill intruders any way they want, including sucking their blood dry. In an instant, he appeared in front of Mag. His fangs became sharper and thinner and his hands had already turned into sharp claws. He opened his hands wide to grab Mag's neck, before going straight for it. He had not tasted the fresh blood of humans for years. After all, there were few humans who dared to barge over. Ah! Ignazio and Daphne let out a loud shrill as they covered their eyes. Sivir gripped onto her boomerang nervously. This was a very powerful vampire and she was not confident about stopping him, but she had to. Bam! Immediately, there came a loud thud. The vampire was struck with fear and all his expression was smacked away by a folding chair. He flew back as swiftly as he came. Bang! 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 Boom! That vampire rammed into a row of trees and ended up crashing into a castle, causing half of it to collapse. Everything fell silent all of a sudden. The remaining vampire looked at the little girl holding a folding chair standing beside the man, and then at his friend who was buried deep under the debris of the collapsed castle, and was stunned and confused for a while. She looked so small and so cute and obedient, just like a little elf. How could she have such horrifying powers? How could she use such an aggressive way to send a fifth-tier vampire flying? The ladies of Mamie restaurant all had varying expressions. They knew that Amy was very talented in magic and that she had won the magic caster tournament, but seeing her send a vampire flying with a chair was more impactful than just hearing about her achievements. "I'm impressive." Jessica looked at Amy in shock. She did not know that her friend was already so powerful. Daphne and Ignatzu did not hear the horrifying scream they expected to hear and slowly removed their hands that were covering their eyes. They were shocked to see Uncle Mag standing well and fine with Amy, holding a chair, standing beside him. Sivir's mouth also fell wide open. She slowly put the boomerang in her hand down. The horrifying impact from the burst of energy just then was already miles ahead of hers. Why did Amy ask her to catch sea beasts together? She had mixed feelings. After all, she was so serious about doing that mission previously. In the end, when they reached the beach, she had fun and even got new clothes to wear. On top of that, she was protected so well. Enemy attack. The vampire was stunned for a while and finally regained his senses before letting out a shrill warning cry. Bam! The folding chair flew over and sent him flying. Noisy. Amy caught the folding chair that flew back to her and even turned back to tell Sivir, "Big sister Sivir, I've learned how to do it." Sivir nodded and gave an awkward smile. "Aren't we here as guests? Why are we fighting? Where is big sister Camilla?" Anna asked curiously. "Yet. But they were the ones who started it." "I guess big sister Camilla's name isn't that useful," Mia said. Mag said with a smile, "It seems Camilla has not quite settled in her seat as chief yet. If Camilla had any power among the vampires, these two lackeys would never have acted before making sure who they were." Mag had long heard of the drama of the father and daughter pair fighting for power. In contrast with Connie's situation, it was way more difficult for Camilla to rise up the ranks. The opposing voices were loud and there were probably a lot of hidden antics going on. 2 vampires were sent flying and half a castle was even destroyed. There were finally movements coming from the other castles. Vampires started rising to the sky and flying towards them with hostile intentions. Maynard was flying in front. It had been a long time since someone dared to create trouble in the vampires' territory. It was Rankster and Irina who did so the last time. However, they did not count since it was not as embarrassing to be thrashed by them. Who could it be this time? Did they think that there weren't any vampires left and that they were pushovers? Hundreds of vampires flew to the cliff in a grand formation, surrounding the boat. "Who are you? How dare you barge into our territory and harm our people?" Maynard shouted. Mag recognized Maynard, of course. He glanced around and did not see Camilla. "Looks like they were here at the wrong time. She's not at home. We are Camilla's friends and are here as guests. Those two weren't very welcoming, so we taught them some manners," Mag told Maynard with a smile. Maynard sized up Mag. This man looked very ordinary. He was just an ordinary human being. However, if an ordinary human being saw so many vampires, he should not be standing so stably and calmly with the horrifying aura they were releasing. "Camilla's friends." Maynard frowned. He said, "I am Camilla's father. You are just an ordinary human being. How can you be her friend? Must there be such criteria for making friends?" Mag was stunned. "I've never cared if someone is powerful or not when I make friends." Maynard's face twitched a little. Powerhouses would naturally only befriend powerhouses. Weaklings could only be stepped on beneath their feet and look up at them while being crushed. "What about me?" Babla took a step forward as she looked at Maynard with a smile. "You?" Maynard looked at her and thought for a while before asking in shock, You're the princess of Moon Nation, Babla." The vampires were all stunned upon hearing that and started spreading outward. "I wonder if I, the princess of Moon Nation, have the rights to be friends with big sister Camilla?" Babla asked with a smile. Maynard smiled awkwardly and said with a nod, "Of course." He would never expect Babla to appear on this ordinary little boat. The Moon Nation had helped to seal the devil and was very well respected among all races. He'd better not offend Bablat. He looked around the group on the boat and his gaze landed on Elizabeth as he exclaimed, "You're Rankster's daughter?" "Yes." Elizabeth nodded coldly. The vampires went into a frenzy and immediately dispersed. Therefore, when Elizabeth admitted to being Rankster's daughter, the vampires all dispersed, as they did not want her to think that they were hostile towards her. It was no secret that Rankster was very protective of the people around him. Although the vampires were among the top 10 demons, they were still not good enough to pit themselves against Rankster. Maynard's cheek twitched a little. Although he hated to admit it, he really did not want to stand on the opposing side of Rankster. He did not know how Camilla befriended the Frost Dragon Princess and Moon Nation Princess, but they were still better friends than foes. He looked at Amy and frowned. This little girl looked rather familiar. "Do you want to try the folding chair too?" Amy raised the folding chair in the air and teased Maynard. Maynard suddenly recalled who she was. She was the disciple of Krasua Anurian, the little one who won the Magic Caster tournament. He had seen her portrait before. However, Maynard was still quite infuriated, being teased by a child, but he will ignore her this time. Rankster might be overprotective of the people around him, but he was still a controllable factor. Krasua Anurian had no principles at all. If they were to find out that their precious disciple was bullied, they would probably reduce the castles on Vampire Island into flat land tomorrow. Maynard did not recognize many people, but they were enough. With just their identities, it was enough for these three to justify being Camilla's friends. Camilla was now the chief of the vampires. They must be welcoming toward the chief's friends. "Camilla is not on the island. Please return." Maynard did not wish to get into a conflict with them, but he could not be bothered to host these younger people, so he asked them to leave. "All right, we'll come again next time." Mag nodded, raised the anchor, and left the island. It was just as Maynard had said. Camilla was not at home, so it would be pointless for them to stay there. They were better off playing at the beach. What a bummer. I thought I could take on 10 of them. Amy opened up the folding chair and sat on it unhappily. Everyone smiled upon hearing that. If Big Sister Camilla were to find out that Amy had smashed her house, she would probably be unhappy, Mia said with a smile. Angela jumped down from the edge of the boat and said with a smile, "We can't go to the Vampire Island, so why don't I bring you somewhere else? I am way more familiar with Demon Islands than you. There are so many fun places around here." "All right. You'll helm the boat then." Mag moved away since he had no particular place in mind. Angela set a direction and turned the ship around towards the fog. "Chief, are we letting them off just like that? That little girl injured 2 of our people." "Yes, we can't let them off just like that." The vampires all voiced their opinion as they watched the boat sail further. "Why? Do you still want them to stay for dinner? Is being beaten up by a 4-year-old something to be proud of? Aren't you embarrassed enough? You've utterly embarrassed me," Maynard chided. The vampires all felt ashamed and fell silent. "That child is Krasua Anurian's disciple. If anyone wants to meet the 2 of them, go ahead and give chase." Maynard flew back into his castle after saying that. The vampires all exchanged gazes and saw a hint of relief in each other's eyes. Those 2 great magic casters were not like other magic casters. Their reputations were well known even among the Demon Islands. No ordinary people would dare to trifle with them. The best way to enrage those 2 would obviously be to lay hands on their only disciple. No such situation seemed to have happened before. However, it was not something anyone or any race would want to try. The boat came and left without doing anything, but the vampires could not help but think about what it would mean for the vampires for Camilla to have these friends. They might not be powerful on their own, but they had very strong backings. Camilla's footing among the vampires was not strong enough, but Dracula had forced her up to a high position. When she was not around, the vampires would still see Maynard as their chief. However, now it seemed that they had to assess some of the relationships she made outside of their race to figure out exactly how powerful she was. After all, she was the chief of the vampires in name right now. I named this nameless island cluster as Fruits Islands. Each island has a very small area but contains various kinds of fruits. They contain almost all the fruits you can find on Demon Islands. Some fruits are even special to these islands, so I used to love playing here. The boat sailed through the fog and they could see small islands dotting the surface of the sea far ahead, just like dots of pearls. They are so pretty. It would be blissful to stay here. You'll be able to eat different kinds of fruits when you wake up every day, Amy said expectantly as she leaned on the edge of the boat. If you like it, we can build a little house here and come over to stay from time to time when we're free. Mag went over to Amy's side and stroked her head in a pampering manner. You don't have to build a house. Don't we have a flying restaurant? We can just live in the restaurant, Amy said intelligently with a shake of her head. There's a boat anchored there. It looks like there's someone on the island, Anna said as she pointed ahead. Everyone looked over and saw a little boat stopped at the clam harbor far ahead. Did someone discover this place? How infuriating! Angela stomped her feet as she steered the boat towards the harbor. She wanted to see who came over to her secret garden. When they docked at the harbor, they saw that the boat beside them was empty. That person must have gone on shore. Let's go. Since we're already here, let's look around. Mag jumped off the boat first. The moment he reached the shore, he saw a blue cloth hanging on a branch. On the cloth, written in blood, was, "Help." Amy took out a folding chair and expectantly said, "What are we waiting for? Let's go look for that bad egg and save that big sister. Let's spread out and look around. The island is so small, so we should be able to find her. Let's hope we get there in time." Mag nodded. "Mia, let's investigate from the air," Elizabeth told Mia before turning into a silver light, taking to the sky and transforming into a frost dragon with a 100-meter-long wingspan. "Oh. All right." Yabimia answered before turning into a golden light and then into an energetic golden dragon. She took to the sky and flew to Elizabeth's left. "Mia, bring me along," Babla called out. She transformed into a shooting light and appeared on Yabimia's back. "Anna, you'll follow me. We will go into the dense forest." Shirley took Anna's hand and transformed into a faint shadow. They disappeared into the dense forest. "This is my favorite secret garden. How dare these people turn this into a crime scene? Darn it!" Angela disappeared angrily. Mag said to Gina, "Gina, you will stay on the ship with Annie, Jane, Ferris, and the children. If the bad eggs came, just capsize their boat. Don't let them get away." "All right." Gina nodded. She could capsize the boat just by waving her hand. The corner of Mag's lips twitched. These were really only preventive measures. Sivir's expression was also very animated. She only realized how immensely strong the powers of the people in the restaurant were. It seemed like everyone's power was above hers. "Father, let's set off now. Otherwise, we won't even get to see the bad eggs." Amy hurried him. "Come this way." Sivir had already taken out her boomerang and was about to lead the way into the dense forest. "No. Let's go this way." Mag grabbed her hand and walked towards the right. "Didn't Big Sister Elizabeth say the scent of blood is over there?" Amy asked perplexedly. Sivir looked at Mag perplexedly too. "Although the earth here isn't round, this island is. So, even if she started running from the left, we might get even closer to her when we start from the right," Mag said with a smile. He could already sense the target's position on this tiny island. In the depths of the dense forest, 2 abyss demons and 2 minotaur demons were slapping away the trees that blocked their way with a sinister smile as they chased after their target leisurely. In front of them, 2 disheveled figures were running for their lives in the dense forest. They were 2 young and beautiful elves. One of them had an injured leg and obviously had difficulty with moving. The other elf assisted her in their escape as she deployed water magic backwards in an attempt to stop those demons from getting close to them. However, her power wasn't strong. Her 5th tier magic was casually repelled each time. They couldn't cause any harm to those demons with thick skins at all. Furthermore, her aura was rapidly turning weak after releasing magic continuously and dragging her friend along. Irina is doing very well right now. Will we get into trouble by attacking the elves? What are you afraid of? There's nobody here. We can chop them up and throw them into the sea to feed the fish after we are done with them. Can Irina ask them who are the culprits from the fish's stomachs? What a pity. They are such beautiful elves. We could have kept them and taken our time to play with them slowly in the past. Now, we can only play with them once. It's great to play with them once too. I haven't touched an elf for a long time and they are really pretty. The demon's sinister laughs kept getting closer and a desperate expression appeared on the two elves' faces. They were tricked and brought onto this island. They came to look for fruits and got onto these friendly demons' boat. They didn't expect to be tricked and these demons showed their true faces once they got to the island. These demons were much stronger than they were and they were not their match at all. They also couldn't get away from them. Big sister, leave me and go. I'll stay behind to hold them back. You can outrun them alone. The injured elf pulled her hand out of the other elf's hand and pushed her away. She fell hard onto the ground and clenched her magic wand tightly. She sang out the incantations despite her pain. Vines began to grow out from the ground and twist towards those 4 demons. But her power was too weak. The vines that grew out from the ground were as weak as grass to those 4 demons. They broke as soon as they were gently touched and they didn't have the basic blocking effect at all. The elf that was pushed away, didn't escape on her own. She used all her magical power to raise a water shield in front of them. She returned to help that elf up and gently said in exasperation, "Silly fool! This is an island. Where can I go?" Then, Don't be scared. Big sister will keep you company. I won't let these disgusting fellows destroy you." A water arrow slowly consolidated in front of her, but this time, the arrowhead was aimed towards themselves. They stood facing each other, which would allow the arrow to kill them both at once. "You want to die? It's not that easy." A sneer appeared and the water shield was smashed by a fist. A tan and muscular hand reached out from the water shield and shattered the water arrow before sending the 2 elves flying with a slap. The 2 elves were sent flying and crashed onto the tree. They landed on the ground weakly. The 4 demons came up to them and surrounded them with smirks on their faces. They were looking at the immobile elves on the ground with lust in their eyes. "Big sister." The younger elf turned to look at the elf lying next to her and tears fell from her eyes uncontrollably. They shouldn't have come out by themselves. Now, they couldn't even die. Are they going to let these disgusting fellows defile their bodies? Don't be scared. That elf spat out some blood with pity and guilt in her eyes. She was engulfed by helplessness and she had no way to escape from it. "Little beauties, why are you running? I'll give you a quick way out after you make me happy." The Abyss Demon leader walked up with a smile and reached out to grab the younger elf. Look at her pretty face with delicate skin. None of those fat women in the tribe could compare to her and she excited him even more than those slutty succubi. His blood was already getting excited. "Don't touch her. We're from the Night Elves. The princess won't let you off," the older elf called out in desperation. "Haha. Go ahead and shout. You can shout till you become hoarse and nobody will come to save you. Your princess will never know what happened here," the Abyss Demon said with a smirk as he grabbed the elf's collar. "Bad egg. Take away your pork trotter." Right then, a childish voice shouted from afar. A black figure already came flying over before she arrived. Bam! That Abyss Demon only managed to look up before he was sent flying by a chair. The smirk on his face instantly froze as it got flattened by the chair. "Be big sister, is someone here to save us?" the younger elf said excitedly. The older elf's eyes lit up too as she turned back to look into the forest. She only saw a red light dash out from the dense forest, and it went for those 3 demons like a fireball. All of them saw who came. It was a little elf standing on 2 fireballs. She held a long magic caster's staff and looked awe-inspiring. "It's her! It's her! Little Amy!" The 2 elves' eyes lit up as they recognized the person who came. Meanwhile, the 3 demons were a little confused. Judging by the chair that flew over, the other party should be a 7th-tier powerhouse, so why did this little one dash out? "Let's get rid of her first," the Abyss demon said coldly. The 3 demons had known one another for a long time, and they attacked Amy at the same time with a tacit understanding. The 2 Minotaur demons crouched on the ground and their horns were gleaming with a red light. They charged towards Amy from her left and her right at the same time. Meanwhile, the Abyss demon charged towards Amy with a giant mace in his hands. He raised the mace up with the intention to smash her flat. "Be careful," the 2 elves exclaimed. They knew how terrifying these 3 demons were. The 2 Minotaur demons were 6th tier and that Abyss demon was a 7th tier advanced powerhouse. Even a normal advanced magic caster was not the trio's match when they attacked together. The Abyss demon, that was sent flying earlier, also stood up by propping himself against a tree. He wiped away the blood on his face and said with sneer, "Keep her alive. I like little elves. He he he. Danger." SAHDR, who watched Amy dash out, was equally shocked. She tossed her boomerang out with all her strength. It flew towards that Abyss demon in a beautiful parabola. Mag, who was following behind, looked at all of them calmly. It was only a 7th tier plus 2 6th tiers. Amy could already torture them easily months ago. However, he was holding onto a branch lightly next to his side. The 2 Minotaurs charged towards Amy, causing the ground to shake and the trees to fall. They were fierce. Amy saw them and her forward dashing figure slowed down a little. Just as the 2 Minotaurs charging at Amy from her left and right were about to hit her with the red light from their horns, her figure gently leaped 3 meters into the air. At the same time, the solid ground beneath the 2 Minotaurs turned into ice instantly. Fear appeared on the Minotaur demon's face, but they couldn't change their direction or stop. Bam! The 2 Minotaurs clashed together and made a dull thud before falling to the ground, unconscious. On the other side, the Abyss demon had reached Amy with his mace raised up high. He leaped up and smashed his mace downwards at Amy. However, before his mace could land, a red beam flashed underneath Amy's feet and her tiny figure brushed past under his arm. Amy's magic caster's staff struck upwards from below. Crack! It was the sound of balls being crushed. With a terrible scream, that Abyss demon dropped down from the air with his hands covering his crotch. He rolled on the ground in pain. The only Abyss demon who was conscious now, covered his crotch instinctively. He stared at the little elf who was flying towards him on 2 fireballs as if she was a devil. This little one was simply too terrifying. This child, who looked to be just 4 or 5 years old, had a terrifying power that could toy with a 7th tier demon. SAHDR's boomerang returned to her. It hit nothing, but her current expression looked equally shocked. Initially, she thought that Amy's power was closer to the 7th tier, but judging by how she easily resolved the 2 6th tier Minotaur demons' attack and toyed with a 7th tier Abyss demon, Amy's power was most likely greater than she had expected. The 2 elves looked shocked as well. They had a taste of the power of these 4 demons earlier, but they were just like chicks in front of Amy. They couldn't fight back at all. It wasn't only the 4 demons who weren't used to the change from themselves being the hunters to them now being the hunted, even the 2 elves were not used to it. However, the 2 elves seemed to understand one thing. They were saved. Although they didn't know why Amy, who was supposed to be in Chaos City, appeared here, most importantly, she had saved them now. That Abyss demon wasn't silly either. He had recognized the situation too. This elf might look small, but she wasn't easy to trifle with. Hence, his target became the two elves that were lying on the ground. He picked up the mace at the side and threw it at Amy before pouncing onto the two elves. His motive was very simple. Take one of the elves as a hostage, so that the four of them could leave the island safely. As for the matter of them targeting elves being exposed and Irina coming after them, he couldn't care about it at this moment. Ha! Right then, a cold voice appeared high in the air. The Abyss Demon's figure was still about 50 centimeters from that elf when an ice wall suddenly rose up. The clear ice wall was very thin and it looked very fragile. The Abyss Demon threw a punch forward as his other hand was ready to grab the elf. Crack! It was the sound of bones breaking. The Abyss Demon's punch landed on the thin ice wall, but it felt like it had landed on a thick metal wall. The ice wall didn't move at all. There were even no cracks at all. But, the Abyss Demon's hand was broken. He couldn't stop his forward dashing figure. He crashed onto the ice wall, but he couldn't make a hole in it. The Abyss Demon lay on the ground and saw the giant wings that covered the sun. It was a giant dragon. One frost dragon and one golden dragon. He couldn't understand why there were so many people on this usually deserted island today. Seems like I'm late. Shirley came out of the dense forest with Anna. She stood on a branch and her gaze landed on the two immobile elves on the ground. Her gaze turned cold and fierce. Damn it! She instantly removed her bow and shot out 2 arrows to kill those 2 Minotaur demons who were attempting to stand up. Furthermore, they recognized Lady Shirley and Mr. Mag. They knew who saved them. The Abyss Demon that was rolling on the ground and the Abyss Demon whose hand was broken, were tied up and tossed to the side. Elizabeth took out 2 healing medicinal vials of recovery potion and got the 2 elves to take them. Yabimiya got a piece of clothing to cover the younger elf as she concernedly asked, "Are you guys all right?" The 2 elves took the advanced recovery potion and their injuries were almost fully recovered. They quickly bowed to all of them and gratefully said, "Thank you. Thank you for saving us. I have seen you two before. You're from the Night Elves. What are you guys doing here?" Shirley asked the 2 of them. "Lady Shirley, I am Cherie and this is my younger sister, Eni. We came to the Demon Islands to look for fruits for Lady Ashley. This morning, we were asking around with the local demons at the dock. These 4 demons." The older elf started to tell them about the story of how 2 innocent rabbits were trapped after trusting the words of the demons easily and were almost humiliated and killed. Mag rubbed his chin and thought to himself, seems like Irina has to conduct some anti-scam education. The elven maidens are too innocent and easy to cheat. However, it was because of him that they appeared here. After all, he suggested to Ashley to come to look for fruits at the Demon Islands to add into their slimming potion. Their direction was right, but they happened to meet the bad eggs. After listening to the 2 elves, the ladies were furious and immediately turned very hostile towards the 2 Abyss Demons. The Abyss Demon that was crouching, said with a trembling voice fearfully, "Don't kill us. We're from the Abyss Demons. My father is the 6th elder. My father won't let you off if you kill me. Your father is the 6th elder of the Abyss Demons. Great, you have no father now." Mag nodded. That Abyss Demon stared at Mag with widened eyes. He opened his mouth in an attempt to speak, but Amy stuffed a coconut into his mouth and he couldn't speak at all. "What shall we do with them now?" Mia asked. "This shouldn't be the first time that people like them do something like this. Even death by 1,000 cuts is too easy for them." Angela took out a small sharp knife and placed it next to the Abyss Demon as though he was a pig ready for the slaughter. Mag nodded his head at Angela. "I'll leave them to you then." Angela immediately put away her knife and stood 2 meters away. She shook her head and said, "No. I'm not good at killing pigs. It doesn't match my angelic persona." Mag threw her glance and thought. When did she even have that persona? Isn't she an innocent flirt? Angela continued on. "Furthermore, this is my secret garden. I don't want their dirty bodies to contaminate this place. Mag glanced at those two abyss demons and said, just throw them into the sea to feed the fish. It's a more ecological method. I'll do it. Elizabeth grabbed the two struggling abyss demons and took to the air. She tossed them into the sea casually. Before they landed in the water, dozens of icicles pierced through their bodies. They were thoroughly dead before they landed in the water. After getting rid of the four demons, Mag brought the terrified elves back to the ship. After drinking a glass of water, they fell asleep under Gina's healing spell. They were terrified, but they should be fine after a good rest. Gina covered them with a blanket after checking the injury on Eni's leg. Mag smilingly nodded and said, let them have a good rest. Let's walk around the island to take a look at the scenery and taste the local fruits. I'll cook for you guys later. All of them went on shore again. Even though the island wasn't big, it was full of fruits just like Angela described. There was a whole patch of purplish-black wild grapes near the beach. They were juicy and their sourish sweet taste was irresistible. There was also a huge patch of melon fields slightly further away. The children were jumping up and down, picking melons like a bunch of badgers. Mag bit into the watermelon that was chilled by Amy. It was cold, sweet, and extremely refreshing. A watermelon-flavored slimming tea seems quite good too, Mag thought. Unfortunately, it was a little too sweet. Everyone spread out to play on the other small islands and collect the fruits. Mag made a trip too. He returned 30 minutes later with two large wicker baskets of different fruits. He said he plucked them from the furthest island. Meanwhile, chaos was erupting on the Abyss Island 500 kilometers away right now. The entire island was in a curfew. Apparently, the Abyss Demon's sixth elder was struck down by lightning in the middle of the street. Half of his head was gone. However, this lightning was rather weird. The weather was bright and sunny, so where did the lightning come from? Moreover, apart from missing half a head, every other part of the sixth elder looked very normal. Apparently, he twitched on the ground for quite some time before he went quiet. The gossip-mongers went crazy, but the people in charge remained quiet. They only knew that the elders in the tribe held a meeting for the entire morning. The elders didn't explain anything in the end. They only buried the sixth elder quickly and said he was just killed by lightning. Great Elder, I think Sixth's death is weird. He didn't look like he was killed by lightning. The Great Elder banged his hands on the table and said with frustration, so, how do you think he died? We were on the island earlier. Did you sense any magic waves? Or, sense any powerhouse's aura? Even if it was Alex, there had to be some aura, right? All the Abyss demons looked at one another. Just like the Great Elder said, the sixth elder died right in front of them and they didn't sense anything at all. If it wasn't lightning, then it meant that the other party's power was way above theirs. The official explanation for this matter will be killed by lightning. Don't investigate or publicize this matter. Just let this matter pass, the Great Elder said gravely. All the elders nodded quietly. The others didn't know, but Mag did. He went to test his gun and made true to the promise that he made to that Abyss demon. His father was truly gone. The 9th tier Abyss demon was killed with a shot to his head from 20 kilometers away. Mag was very satisfied with the accuracy and power. Furthermore, this assault rifle's stealthiness was great. It could kill without a trace. After putting the gun away, he could even pluck some fruits to take back. There was no time wasted at all. Mag felt like a cold-blooded assassin. He felt amused by this new persona. It's time to eat. Mag called out to the maidens on the swings nearby. He had made another seafood feast again. However, he added a roasted goat. Amy and the ladies discovered it on an island where there was a large herd of fat black goats. Come and sit over here. Ferris got the two of them to sit next to her. She gave them a glass of freshly squeezed juice and curiously asked, "Where is Lady Ashley? Do you know how to get back to her? The island we departed from is called Anson Island. Lady Ashley said return to Anson Island if we got separated. There are personnel from the Night Elves stationed there, Cherie answered. Mag cut the roasted goat meat and gave it to the two drooling elves first as he smilingly said, I'll send you guys back to Anson Island after dinner. Thank you. Cherie bowed deeply to Mag. Even though she wanted to be more polite, she was simply too hungry and the goat meat in her hands smelled too good. The two of them couldn't care too much. They simply picked up their knife and fork and started eating. The roast goat's skin was slightly browned, but the meat was especially juicy. The marinade had seeped right through. Pepper was scattered over the surface, activating the scrumptiousness. It's so delicious. Cherie narrowed her eyes into slits. The sensation of blissfulness surged into her heart and purged away all the horrible emotions from the day. Delicious food was indeed a good medicine. It could cure all the unhappiness. Meanwhile, Eni beside her also had a sated expression. This was the best roast goat that she had ever eaten. No. She should say the best food that she had ever eaten. Although Big Sister Firis's culinary skills were also excellent and her roast beef kebabs and roast mutton kebabs were very delicious, compared to Mr. Mag's culinary skills, her skill level was obviously still far from his. Mag gave Amy a goat's leg. The little one deserved a big goat's leg after spending so much effort to catch the goat. Amy went to the side with the goat's leg. She didn't use a knife to cut it and just munched on it directly. Her tiny teeth were just like tiny razors. She made a hole in the goat's leg right away and munched away happily. The goat was soon all split up and everyone got a big piece of goat meat. Mag himself got a mutton chop that was the size of his palm. He used the fat head fish to cut it into simple strips before grabbing it with his hands. This goat was a young adult. It wasn't small, but the meat was very tender and neither too fat nor too chewy. He only brushed a layer of oil during grilling and the rest of the process depended on the goat's own fat. What was even more interesting was, this goat fed on a kind of crabapple, so there was a hint of crabapple fragrance in its meat. Its taste was rather unique. The sauce was rather light, so the goat meat aroma was accentuated. The chewy tendons together with the meat, filled the mouth with an aromatic grease when they chewed. Let's catch a few goats to take back as souvenirs. Mag suggested. All right. I'll go catch them later. I want to eat some more roast goat. Amy was the first to agree. Everyone nodded in agreement. Although the goat was cute, the roasted goat was really delicious. The feast only ended after the moon had risen. Mag passed a basket filled with all kinds of fruits to Cherie and said, these are all the fruits available on the nearby islands. Bring them back with you. They might be useful to your mission. Thank you very much. Cherie and Eni bowed gratefully as they accepted that big basket of fruits. Their objective of coming to the island was to look for new fruits, but they were tricked, and were almost humiliated and killed here. They didn't expect to complete their mission by a stroke of luck. Let's get on the boat. We will send you back to Anson Island before we make our way home. That big boat that carried Cherie and Eni here, was sunk, and Mag's boat left the island too. Half an hour later, the boat docked at the Anson Island's harbour. Cherie and Eni got off the boat with the basket of fruits and waved to Mag and the ladies when they got to the shore. Go back and be careful. Mag waved his hand and drove the boat away. Before Cherie and Eni could turn around, an anxious voice spoke up behind them. Cherie. Eni. Why are you guys here? The two elves turned around and they saw Ashley with a group of elves. Tears immediately welled up in their eyes as they chokingly said, Lady Ashley, we almost couldn't make it back. What happened? Ashley walked up and sized the two of them up. She heaved a breath of relief after she was sure that they were not injured. We went out this morning to look for new fruits. At the harbour. The two of them told them how they met those 4 demons, got tricked into going to the island and were almost humiliated by the demons, and how Amy and the people from Mamie Restaurant arrived at that moment to defeat those demons. Ashley and the elves were furious when they heard how the demons had tried to humiliate them. Then, they were gratified when they heard how Amy and the people from Mamie restaurant defeated those demons and threw them into the sea to feed the fish. You are saying Mr. Mag and his people are also here at the Demon Islands? Ashley asked with shock. Yes. They just left. Cherie turned to look at the vast sea. The boat could still be vaguely seen. He gave us these fruits. They were found on that island. Eni lifted the big fruit basket up. There were dozens of different fruits inside. Mr. Mag is really a good man. Ashley looked at that fruit basket and lamented. Then, she looked at the two maidens and sternly said, I said that you shouldn't act on your own. Did you know you almost lost your chastity and life due to your rashness and stupidity? The two of them lowered their heads in silence. All right. Let's go back first. I'll settle the scores with you tomorrow. Ashley removed her jacket and put it on Eni. She walked back with her arms around the small elf. Cherie and Eni smiled at each other. They knew Lady Ashley was firm in speech but soft in heart. She treated them the best. Aboard, I see a silver light, I wonder if it's frost aground. Looking up, I find the moon bright. Bowing, in homesickness I'm drowning. Mag stood at the bow of the boat and recited this poem when he saw the bright moon over the sea. Elizabeth suddenly appeared next to him and asked, Did you write this poem? No, a poet from my homeland did. Mag shook his head with a smile. Of course, he had changed a few words to make it suit his current environment. Where is your homeland? Elizabeth asked again. It's somewhere very far away. Mag looked into the distance. It's a place that our sight can't reach. Placing Gina back into her tank and closing the door gently, Mag heaved a breath of relief. He was indeed a good boss. When he returned to the restaurant, Irina was playing Plants vs. Zombies on the tablet. Ugly Duckling was crouching next to her and watching with great interest. Mag was wondering what was so fun about this little game. He couldn't help watching her for a while before commenting with a weird expression, What game are you playing? Irina tapped on the little Sunzajali as she planted a potato in front of a zombie and said matter-of-factly, Isn't this a game about rearing zombies? Oh, I see. Mag nodded thoughtfully. That made sense. Irina only did two things when she played this game, collect the suns and plant potatoes for the zombies to eat. This was indeed the first time he had seen somebody play Plants vs. Zombies as a real-life simulation game. See, there are many more zombies now. It's just that the pen isn't big enough, otherwise I could grow more zombies. Irina waved her tablet at Mag. You did a great job. Mag nodded and sat across from Irina, waiting for her to be finished with being consumed by the zombies and potatoes. Around 10 minutes later, Irina ended the game happily. She raised her arms over her head to stretch out, stretching her beautiful curves as she laughingly said, This game is so simple. I always successfully rear so many zombies every time. Yes. This game is quite simple. Mag nodded with a smile before giving her a glass of warm water. Irina took a sip as she raised her eyebrows and smilingly asked, Have the ladies all settled in? Mag calmly answered, Yes. They have all been sent back to the dormitory. I even set an alarm for them to come back to work on time. Tisk. What a heartless capitalist. Irina rolled her eyes. Fun is fun, but we can't be late for work. This is a basic principle, Mag said seriously. Isn't Hope School opening tomorrow? Are you going to join the opening ceremony? Irina asked. Mag slapped his forehead. I would have forgotten all about it if you didn't mention it. Let's take a day off tomorrow then. As a part-time teacher, I have to take part in such an important occasion. Luna had told him about the Hope School's opening ceremony and had invited him and Gloria to take part in it. Mag wouldn't reject such an invitation, so he would definitely be there tomorrow morning. Oh yes. We met two little maidens from the Night Elves on an island today. They almost fell into the hands of a few demons. Mag told Irina. There are still demons who dare to target the people from my night elves now. Irina's expression became solemn. Mag told Irina what happened that day concisely before he smilingly said, "They were lucky to bump into us today. They might not be so lucky next time. I think you night elves need to conduct a professional anti-scam training. Some elves are rather naive after living in the wind forest for so long. I'll talk to Ashley about this." Irina nodded. She thought Mag's suggestion was reasonable, but she still asked, "What about the Abyss Demon's sixth elder?" "I went to test the gun. Its accuracy was not bad. It was a shot to the head," Mag answered with a chuckle. Rodu. The Field Manor. Family. The Karad family came to discuss a marriage alliance again yesterday. "Do you think we should get Luna to come back?" Derek asked the old man who was reading a book next to a fireplace. "Luna wrote a letter to me some time back. She said Hope School is almost completed and the children are going to start school in the next few days," Byron Field answered calmly without even looking up. "You know that this betrothal was agreed upon long ago. The Karads are powerful in the court and our family is getting weaker. We will be gone in a few generations if we don't depend on the Karad family," Derek said with a solemn expression. Byron put down his book and gradually looked at his son with a hint of disappointment and a sneer in his expression. Derek felt uncomfortable from Byron's gaze, but he still said through clenched teeth, "I know you have always doted on Luna, but she has already reached a marriageable age and we can't let her do as she pleases anymore. I watched Luna grow up. Everything she does is well planned with a motive. She has never done anything stupid or rashly." Byron banged the table and his voice turned severe and cold. "But you, as her father, have never tried to improve yourself. You only want to exchange your daughter's marriage for your own future and the family's glory. How dare you come and tell me about all these things?" Derek went white. He lowered his head and didn't dare to make a sound. "Luna is teaching in Chaos City and training so many children. She is even building Hope School and taking in 3,000 poor students right now. You actually want her to come back to marry that wastrel from the Karad family with such a great ability?" Byron looked at Derek coldly. "Just for a future that a useless father like you can't even see. Family. I do this for our family's future." "Shut up." Byron interrupted Byron's words coldly and said, as though he had expected better from him, "If our Field family has reached such a low level that we need a woman to make a marriage alliance for our future, we deserve to go into a decline. What's the point of maintaining a fake prosperity like this? What about the Karad family? Just reject them directly. Tell them I say so. Luna will decide on her own marriage. No one has the right to interfere," Byron said with conviction. Derek looked at Byron and sighed inward. He said in a low voice, "Yes." This was the first time that he had seen his father get so angry and say such harsh words in so many years. Byron also said, "Oh yes, I have already planned to take my leave. I'll make a trip to Chaos City tomorrow. I want to witness Luna's Hope School's opening ceremony personally. I'll go make the arrangements for you right now." Derek bowed and quickly left. This matter was obviously beyond discussion. Derek was starting to have a headache about how to inform the Karad family about the rejection of the marriage proposal. The Karad family had already promised him the lucrative position of the assistant to the Chancellor of Exchequer after the wedding. Now, he had to consider how to quell the Karad family's anger and still keep his current position. Sigh. When a girl is of age, she must be married off. I shouldn't have let her go to Chaos City. Derek sighed.